Just started university, and my beautiful tutor turns out to be the mother of my child. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1026. Shame on you. Lin Feng thought about it, and after being beaten, his anger was almost gone. Although he was not afraid of Yi Xianlong, even if he came to hold him responsible, he had countless ways to solve it. For example, he could ask Li Yangwei for help, but he would still owe him a favor. And even if he had a way to get himself out of this matter, he had to consider his brothers. With their family background, they might not be able to escape. Lin Feng thought about it, and after all, he still lacked a certain social status and hard power. Originally, he was thinking about spending these years of college life easily, but reality still did not allow it. It seems that some things are time to put on the agenda. In this case, in order to avoid unnecessary trouble, let's stop here today. Let them go for now. Wang Maolong saw Chen Donggyun and Lin Feng whispering to each other, and he was a little scared at first. But he seemed to vaguely hear words like Yi Xianlong, background and benefits. He was very calm. It seems that they recognized his identity. So, haha. Can I let them go easily after being beaten like this? It's getting late. In order not to attract the attention of the school, today's business ends here. If you know what's good for you, get out of here. Otherwise, I can't save you later. At this time, Chen Donggyun looked at Huang Maolong Zhen Liaoshan and said. Hearing Chen Donggyun's words, Huang Maolong was more certain that these people knew his identity. He was scared. You beat me and you want to let it go. Let's make a big fuss. I'm not afraid of anyone. Huang Maolong was very calm and spoke arrogantly again. Huh? Chen Donggyun frowned. This Huang Maolong is so ignorant? Exclamation mark. What do you want? Chen Donggyun said to Huang Maolong with an impatient look on his face. Simple. Make the son of a bitch who hit me kneel in front of me and admit his mistake and apologize. Also, make him slap himself in the face with the sole of his shoe 100 times, not once less. Also, bang 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 bang. Before Huang Maolong finished his words, he flew out and rolled all the way to the stairs. Puff. He struggled to turn over and spat out a mouthful of blood. You. He spat out blood bubbles while talking in his mouth. Quiet. Before everyone present could react, Huang Maolong flew out. Everyone was stunned and speechless. Lin Feng slowly walked towards Huang Maolong at the stairs. Under the gaze of everyone, he stepped hard on Huang Maolong's thigh. Crack. The sound of broken bones rang out. Ah! A scream resounded throughout the dormitory building. You are shameless. If you insult my parents, even if your father is the king of heaven, he can't save you. Lin Feng looked at Huang Maolong with a frosty face, and spoke word by word. The voice was sharp, as cold as hell. Everyone felt that the air was full of chill at this moment. The screams of Huang Maolong echoed throughout the dormitory building. Everyone was alarmed. Many people ran out of the dormitory. What are the ghosts crying and howling upstairs in the middle of the night? The dormitory manager's loud questioning came from the dormitory management office downstairs. At this time, Chen Donggyun also came back to his senses, and he looked at the scene in front of him with a shocked face. It's over, it's a big deal. Chen Donggyun muttered to himself. But then, his eyes became clear. Before Huang Maolong could react, he wailed in pain. Chen Donggyun rushed over and stepped hard on Huang Maolong's other leg. Crack. Ah. Wang Maolong screamed heartbreakingly. He raised his head with difficulty and looked at Chen Donggyun, with an unbelievable face. Why? He squeezed out these words from his throat in pain. No reason, I just don't like you. Chen Donggyun looked at Wang Maolong on the ground expressionlessly and said lightly. Wang Maolong? What kind of answer is this? Exclamation mark. Is this because he thinks he is not miserable enough, so he kicks him again? Exclamation mark. Lin Feng looked at Chen Donggyun with a complicated face at this time. He understood why Chen Donggyun did this. Of course, it was to help him. After all, this matter has developed to this point and has completely made a big fuss. I am afraid that the school leaders and some other important people will show up later. And Chen Donggyun also involved himself to protect himself. After all, Chen Donggyun's family has military connections. And on Lin Feng's side, Chen Dongyan learned that Lin Feng did not have any official backing. So he did this to help Lin Feng share the responsibility. When the higher-ups come to hold them accountable, Chen Dongyan will have a reason to ask his family to take action. Or maybe Chen Dongyan is planning to take all the responsibility himself. That's all. At this time, Chen Kun and Suhi, who were not far away, also came to their senses. Just now, they were shocked by Lin Feng's actions, and then they were stunned by Chen Dongyan's actions. The two of them were just stunned and stood there, at a loss. Now that they have come to their senses, they also understand what Chen Dongyan meant by his actions. After all, how many people who can be admitted to Tsinghua and Peking University are stupid? Exclamation mark. The two looked at each other and ran towards Lin Feng and Chen Dongyan together. It was obvious that they were going to run over the yellow-haired dragon brother on the ground. Lin Feng and Chen Dongyan quickly retracted their feet from the yellow-haired dragon brother and stopped the two. Lin Feng and Chen Dongyan understood what they meant and knew that they wanted to take responsibility for this matter together. But Lin Feng knew that Chen Kun and Suhi's families were in business, and even if they had some backers, they would not involve the national level. So he stopped a few people. Actually, Lin Feng didn't react just now, otherwise he would never let Chen Dongyan get involved. Now there is no other way, it can only be like this. But Chen Kun and Suhi will definitely not let them get involved. The matter is too big, Lin Feng doesn't want to implicate them. And Chen Dongyan thinks the same as Lin Feng. Although Chen Kun and Suhi have rich families, they have no official background, so they must not be allowed to get involved. Boss. Fourth brother. Let me go. Chen Kun shouted with red eyes. He was the cause of this matter. The current situation was all caused by him. Now these two people actually want him to stay out of it. He can't do it. Second brother, calm down. Third brother, you stop it too. Lin Feng shouted loudly with a cold face. Chapter 1027 Things got out of hand. If you still recognize me as the boss, you two should just stay aside and don't care about anything. This matter has become so chaotic, it's no longer something you two can get involved in. The fourth brother rushed over just now, and I didn't stop him. But I will never allow you two to take another step forward. You two, get out of here. Lin Feng yelled at the two of them. Boss. But. Chen Kun and Suhi said in unison. Before they finished speaking, they were interrupted by Lin Feng. No buts. Trust me, you two, get out of here. If you take another step forward, we'll have nothing to do with each other. Lin Feng said loudly. Chen Kun and Suhi refused to retreat. They stared at Lin Feng's eyes. Get out. Get out. Lin Feng shouted with blood boiling. Second brother, third brother, believe in the boss. Believe me too. I will never let anything happen to the boss. I promise you. Chen Dongyan also said with red eyes and a firm tone. More and more people were watching in the corridor. At this time, Li Aoshan also came to his senses. Exclamation mark. This matter has reached the point where it cannot be dealt with. It's over. It's over. He muttered to himself. By the way, Dad. After he said that, he hurriedly took out his mobile phone and called his dad. Inform his dad about this matter. After all, this matter has something to do with him. It was him who caused it. He called Huang Meolong over. Exclamation mark. He turned on his mobile phone with trembling hands and dialed his dad Li Gang's number. Hello, Dad, something big has happened. As soon as the call was connected, he hurriedly spoke. His voice was full of trembling. At this time, Huang Meolong on the ground had fainted from the pain. Chen Kun and Suhi also calmed down. The two of them stood aside with their fists clenched tightly, letting their nails pierce into the flesh without any feeling. Boss, I'll call home and let them know about this matter, so that they can be mentally prepared. Chen Dongyan glanced at the two people, turned his head and spoke to Lin Feng. Yes. Lin Feng nodded expressionlessly. Then he took out his cell phone and called Li Yangwei. Beep beep. After the phone rang a few times, it was connected. Hello, Brother Feng, what's up? Do you miss me? Li Yangwei's somewhat happy voice came from the phone. Hello, Yangwei, something happened to me, and I may need the power of your old man to deal with it. Lin Feng spoke without hesitation. What's wrong? Brother Feng. Li Yangwei put away his cynicism and suddenly spoke in a serious voice. Well, I got into some trouble and broke the leg of a son with a powerful background. Lin Feng said. Brother Feng, wait for my call, I'll go to the old man now. Even if it costs my life, I will ask the old man to take action. Don't worry. Liang Yi spoke word by word. Well, thank you, brother. Lin Feng nodded and said softly. Then he hung up the phone, holding the phone in a daze. Lin Feng sighed deeply. It's not that he regretted what he did just now, but he was a little helpless. His social status and energy are still not enough. If he has enough power to shock everyone, then do he still need to worry about these? Do he still need to beg others so much? So, after this incident, some things should be done. It's just a pity that I just wanted to spend these few years in college peacefully. Now it seems that there is no way. Just when Lin Feng was thinking about things, Chen Donggyun came back with a mobile phone. Boss, I have told my family about this matter, and my family has started to operate. Chen Donggyun said softly. Hearing this, Lin Feng looked at Chen Donggyun with complicated eyes. After a moment of silence. Well, I also found someone to help here. Lin Feng replied. Boss, no matter what the final result of this matter is, we brothers will carry it together. Chen Donggyun looked at Lin Feng with a firm look and said. Yes. Lin Feng patted Chen Donggyun on the shoulder and said. Brothers in the dormitory, although they have not been together for a long time, their feelings are beyond words. At this time, Chen Kun and Suhi also walked forward. Boss. We. Chen Kun and Suhi said with a worried look on their faces. Okay, no need to say anything, I know what you mean. Don't worry. It will be fine. Lin Feng patted the two on the shoulders and said. Hearing Lin Feng say this, the two felt guilty. Boss, I'll go talk to my family. If you need money, just ask. Nothing else, I'll give you enough money. Chen Kun said. After that, Chen Kun turned to the side and called home. I'll go too. Suhi also said. Then he ran to the side and started making calls. What the few people didn't know was that because of their calls tonight, the entire Beijing city was operating frantically. Various calls kept coming in, and all kinds of bigwigs got up from their beds to deal with this matter. Lin Feng and Chen Donggyun looked at each other with a firm look. At this time, Li Aoshan also finished a call with his father Li Gang. He hurried over and ran to the side of Huang Maolong, who was unconscious on the ground. The two thighs of Huang Maolong were bent irregularly and pulled weakly. One thigh bone was about to stick out, and the other was completely folded in half. This is too cruel! Exclamation mark. He looked at the miserable state of Huang Maolong, who was already unconscious, and glanced at Lin Feng and Chen Donggyun. You are finished. You dared to hurt Longzhi, and beat him so badly. Do you know who Longzhi's father is? I have notified my family, and Longzhi's father will come over later. You, and them, you are dead. Just wait to die. Li Aoshan said viciously to Lin Feng and Chen Donggyun. If you keep nagging, do you believe I will let you lie here like him? There's already one lying here, I don't mind adding one more. Chen Donggyun looked at Li Aoshan with indifference. At this moment, he really wanted to kill Li Aoshan, this bastard. Because all this was caused by this idiot. If he hadn't been so mean, there wouldn't have been so many problems. Li Aoshan looked at Chen Donggyun's cold eyes and shrank back in fear. These two were too cruel and brutal. He glanced at Huang Maolong on the ground and started fighting. Although Huang Maolong didn't bleed on his thigh except for the blood he spit out earlier. But if he didn't call 120, he was afraid that something would happen to Huang Maolong. And the onlookers saw that the matter had become a big deal, and someone had already secretly notified the school teacher. After all, this matter was too big. Chapter 1028, The Dormitory Manager's Miraculous Move. Hey. Why aren't you sleeping at night? What are you guys doing here? At this time, a roar came. It turned out that the noise here attracted the attention of the dormitory manager. After all, the screams of Huang Maolong were too loud. And more people were watching. It was hard not to attract attention. Then, the dormitory manager cursed while squeezing through the crowd and walked towards Lin Feng and the others. When he walked to Lin Feng and the others, he suddenly saw Huang Maolong lying on the ground. He looked strange. Huh? Why is there another person lying on the ground? Don't you think the floor is dirty? Huh? Still asleep? Is he drunk again? Why don't you help him into the dormitory to sleep? Really? The old man said as he prepared to help Huang Maolong up. Stop. Li Aoshan had just finished calling the emergency number, and when he turned back, he saw the dormitory manager trying to help Huang Maolong. He hurriedly shouted loudly. You little brat, what's wrong with you? I'm kind enough to help this classmate up. Why are you yelling? The dormitory manager glared at Lee Ocean and said unhappily. Young people nowadays are so heartless. Seeing his classmate lying on the ground and sleeping, he didn't help him up, and he didn't let others help him. Exclamation mark. After saying that, the old man was about to bend over to help Huang Mei Long up. Stop it. I told you to stop. Lee Ocean yelled at the old man again. Exclamation mark. Fuck. The old man was frightened by Lee Ocean's roar. Fuck, is it over yet? Do you think I'm easy to bully? Which class are you from? If I don't give your dormitory a few serious warnings, I'm not your old man. He turned around and looked at Lee Ocean and cursed. Also, today I really have to help this classmate up. Let's see what you can do to me. The old man said angrily. After that, he turned around and immediately helped the yellow-haired long brother up. Pa. Lee Ocean rushed forward in 3 or 2 steps and pushed the dormitory manager aside. I told you to stop. You don't understand what I'm saying, do you? Lee Ocean's eyes were red, and he yelled at the old man again. If this bastard touched Long Brother and caused Long Brother to be injured again, he couldn't afford it. Exclamation mark. And the old man was stunned by Lee Ocean's push. This Nima. I have lived for so long. I have never seen such an arrogant student. The old man turned and looked at Lee Ocean. You little bastard, you're awesome. How dare you push me? Try to touch me again. If I don't blackmail you, I'm not your uncle. And today, I have to help him up. You kid, if you have the guts, come and touch me. The old man pointed at Lee Ocean's nose and cursed with his face flushed with anger. Are you blind? Didn't you see the pool of blood next to Brother Long? Do you vomit blood when you sleep? Get out of the way, you old bastard. If anything happens to my brother Long, your whole family will pay for it. Lee Ocean pointed at the nose of the dorm manager and roared. The dorm manager. Then the dorm manager looked at the yellow-haired brother Long on the ground, and found a pool of blood next to the yellow-haired brother Long. Oh. The dorm manager stared. He was a little shocked. What's going on? Why don't you call an ambulance? The dormitory manager shouted loudly. Get out. Get out of the way. You have nothing to do here. Lee Ocean said loudly. The crowd watching nearby couldn't stand it anymore. Uncle, an ambulance has been called, so you better leave it alone. This is a fight between gods. Someone couldn't help but remind the uncle. What you said, how can you just ignore it? The uncle glared at the man, then immediately took out his mobile phone to notify the school administration. Wow. 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 Beep, beep. At this time, the sound of an ambulance siren came from downstairs of the dormitory. Everyone knew that the ambulance was coming. Just then, the yellow-haired dragon brother lying on the ground woke up slowly. He opened his eyes and was a little confused. Hiss. Ah. A piercing pain made him wake up instantly. Brother Long, are you okay? Lee Ocean saw that Huang Mei Long Jie had woken up, and hurried over to speak anxiously. Huang Mei Long Jie, fuck your mother. This Nima, do you think I look okay? Huang Mei Long Jie endured the severe pain and roared in pain. Oh. Lee Ocean didn't know how to respond to this. Fuck your uncle, what the hell are you doing here? Call an ambulance for me. It hurts so much, woo woo woo. Huang Mei Long Jie cursed at Lee Ocean in pain, crying. Oh, Brother Long, I've called an ambulance, it's downstairs. Just bear it. Lee Ocean said hurriedly. I'll bear it for your mother. You try. Woo woo woo. Huang Mei Long Jie cursed at Lee Ocean loudly. Lee Ocean. Lee Ocean didn't dare to respond. Then Huang Mei Long Jie wiped his tears. He slowly raised his head and looked at Lin Feng and Chen Dongyan. His eyes were filled with fear and resentment. It was these two people who broke his thighs alive. He looked at Lin Feng and Chen Dongyan with bloodshot eyes. He swore that he would make these two people die miserably. Exclamation mark. Especially Lin Feng. Exclamation mark. Lin Feng and Chen Dongyan looked at each other and chose to ignore the coward Wang Mao Longjia. Seeing that Lin Feng and Chen Dongyan were fine and still ignored him with an expressionless face. Wang Mao Longjia was even more angry with him. He looked at the two with extremely resentful eyes. Exclamation mark. Have you notified my dad? Wang Mao Longjia said to Lee Ocean. Yes, Brother Long, I have already notified my dad. He should have also notified your dad, Mr. Yi. Lee Ocean replied hurriedly. Well, I want them both to die. Wang Mao Longjia clenched his fists. His eyes were bloodshot, and he gritted his teeth. About 2 minutes later, the elevator door opened. Soon, a group of nurses and doctors came out carrying a stretcher. Make way, make way. Where is the injured? A doctor shouted. Doctor, doctor. Here, here. Li Aoshan shouted hurriedly. Then the crowd came up a passage, and the doctors and nurses carried the stretcher and trotted all the way to Huangmao Lounge. The doctor put down the stretcher, and several people worked together to move Huangmao Lounge to the stretcher. Chapter 1029, The whole family is a bootlicker. Hiss. Ah. Be gentle. Get out. Do you want to kill me? Wang Maolong yelled at the doctor. The doctors and nurses put him heavily on the stretcher with expressionless faces. Wait. Just as the doctor was about to carry him downstairs, Wang Maolong suddenly shouted loudly. Zia Ocean, you must tell my dad, if my legs can't be saved, I want them to be buried with my legs. Yes. Li Aoshan nodded firmly. Lin Feng and Chen Dongye looked at them expressionlessly, as if they didn't hear it at all, and were indifferent. Then, Wang Maolong was carried away by the doctor. Lin Feng and Chen Dongye looked at each other and prepared to go back to the dormitory to discuss the follow-up matters. Just raised his foot. Stop. Li Aoshan shouted at Lin Feng and others. Huh? Lin Feng and others frowned and turned to look at Li Aoshan. Li Aoshan's body trembled when he was looked at by several people. He took a step back involuntarily. You guys can't leave? Then he mustered up the courage to speak. Tisk. Chen Dongying snorted and didn't bother to pay attention to him. Then several people turned around and were about to leave. Stop. Did you hear me? Li Aoshan's face turned red and he shouted with his neck stretched. What's the matter? Do you want to be carried away too? Believe it or not, I will break your dog legs right now. Chen Dongying said with disdain. Eh? Li Aoshan blushed, but he didn't dare to say it out loud. He was afraid of being beaten. Chen Dongying raised his middle finger at him and was ready to ignore him. Stop. Who said to break my son's legs? At this moment, a voice came from the staircase, clearly reaching everyone's ears. Everyone looked towards the staircase involuntarily. A middle-aged man in his 40s with a big belly, a fat head and big ears, and a pair of gloomy eyes appeared at the stairs. When Li Aoshan saw the person coming, he seemed to have found his backbone, and his face was full of excitement. Dad, you are finally here. Brother Long's legs were broken and he was just sent to the hospital. If you don't come out, your son will be beaten to death. Woo woo woo. Li Aoshan said as he ran towards the middle-aged man. That's right, the person who came was Li Aoshan's father Li Gang, a department-level cadre of a certain government agency in the Beijing city. Son, don't be afraid, with your dad here, no one dares to touch you. Li Gang patted Li Aoshan on the shoulder and said word by word. Yes. Li Aoshan wiped his tears and nodded. Lin Feng and Chen Dongye looked at the scene in front of them. They were speechless. These second generations are all crybabies? Question mark. How old are they, and they cry at every turn? Do they have any shame? Exclamation mark. Just when they were speechless, Li Gang on the opposite side looked up at them. Whoever hit someone just now, come out. I don't want to say it a second time. Li Gang said with a serious face. Lin Feng and the others looked at Li Gang expressionlessly, and no one spoke. Li Gang saw that no one paid attention to him, and anger surged on his face, and his face turned black. Dad, it was these two people. They broke the legs of Mr. Yi's son, Brother Long. They also hit my face. Look, my face is still red now. Li Aoshan looked at his father Li Gang with a wronged face and said. Huh? Li Gang glanced at his son's face, and his face was indeed red. His face became even darker. It's simply lawless. Li Gang said angrily. Haha, why don't you ask your own son why he was beaten? Chen Dongyun said with disdain. Huh? You dare to talk back? I don't care what the reason is. If you hit my son, it's your fault. Li Gang said with a dark face. This is such a joke. You only know how to protect your son without knowing the situation clearly. What a great official power. Chen Dongyun mocked. Huh? Sharp-tongued. Is this how your parents taught you? Li Gang seemed to be poked in the sore spot, and he scolded without knowing right or wrong. You are a person who is not upright at the top and crooked at the bottom. What qualifications do you have to talk about my parents? Chen Dongyun said with disdain. He still didn't take a small department-level cadre seriously. How dare you? How can people like you be in Tsinghua University? Since you don't repent, I think you need to go to prison. Li Gang's face couldn't hold it anymore, and he roared with anger. Then he seemed to think of something, and his face immediately returned to normal. Also, you maliciously injured Mr. Yi's son, you can wait to spend the rest of your life in prison. Li Gang said with a joking face. Haha, you're licking before I even get here. After my son licked me, I licked him. All of us are licking dogs. Awesome. Chen Dongyun continued. Asshole. After hearing what Chen Dongyun said, Li Gang exploded instantly, like a cat whose tail was stepped on, and his fur exploded. Veins popped up on his face, and he shouted loudly. Haha, don't get excited either. You want to send me to jail? You're not qualified enough. You're just a small department-level cadre, but you act like you're so powerful. Chen Dongyun said disdainfully. Huh? Li Gang was puzzled. How could you be so arrogant? The surname Chen? Question mark. Could it be the Chen family? If it was really the Chen family, then he, a department-level cadre, was really not good enough. He looked at Chen Dongyun with a complicated and suspicious expression. Don't look at me like that. Don't worry, I'm not the Chen family you think I am. Don't you want to hit me? Come on. If you are a man, hit me. You are a jerk without balls, a rubbish licker. Chen Dongyun cursed at Li Gang directly. Li Gang was still a little confused about what Chen Dongyun said at this moment, and he didn't dare to go too far. So he let Chen Dongyun curse him without saying anything. Dad, there's also that guy. He hit me first, and then hurt Brother Long. At this time, Li Aoshan stepped forward and pointed at Lin Feng and said. Yes, there is another one. Since he still doesn't know Chen Dongyun's identity, he doesn't dare to go too far. But this is different. Can't I, a director, deal with an ordinary person? Li Gang thought to himself. You were the first to hurt someone. So he raised his hand and scolded Lin Feng. So what if it was? So what if it wasn't? What can you do to me? Lin Feng said calmly with an expressionless face. Chapter 1030 Confusion of Right and Wrong. Hearing this, Li Gang was stunned. Are all the kids nowadays so arrogant? Could he be some big shot again? He was a little surprised and doubtful. What's going on? Who can tell me what's going on? At this time, there was another commotion at the staircase. Several men dressed as teachers, with a team of security guards from the school security department, came over from the staircase. Several people walked to the middle of the corridor and looked at the tense scene in front of them. The leading man, who is about 40 or 50 years old, frowned at the scene in front of him. I am Li Qinghua, the vice president of the School of Computer Science of Tsinghua University and Peking University. Who can tell me what's going on? Li Qinghua asked several people with a serious face. He was sleeping well at home, but the school principal called him. He scolded him and asked him to come and deal with this matter quickly. If he didn't handle it well, his position as the dean would be over. And the matter involved a lot, involving the leaders above. The principal was also on his way to the school. This made him have to pay attention. If something goes wrong or something goes wrong, it's probably over. Hello, Dean Li, I'm Deputy Director Li Gang, and I'm also the father of the injured Li Aoshan. Li Gang walked up to Li Qinghua and stretched out his right hand and said. Hello, Director Li, what's going on? As the saying goes, don't hide a smiling person, not to mention that he is a department-level cadre. Seeing that Li Gang took the initiative to speak, Li Qinghua shook hands with him and asked. Hey. It's just a malicious wounding incident on campus. The two people in front of you, Dean Li, are the perpetrators of this incident. And my son is the victim of this incident. He was beaten and insulted. There is also a seriously injured classmate who has been taken away by an ambulance and sent to the hospital for treatment. Oh, the one who went to the hospital is Yi Xianlong, Mr. Yi's son. Li Gang said, confusing right and wrong. He also emphasized the identity of the yellow-haired dragon brother who went to the hospital. Li Qinghua. What the hell? Mr. Yi's son was beaten and went to the hospital. No wonder the principal said this matter is very serious. Exclamation mark. This is a big shot. His son was beaten and sent to the hospital, how could it not be serious? Exclamation mark. And the Yi family. But Li Qinghua can reach this position, he is also a smart man. Before he really figured out the matter, he dared not make a rash decision. And the two people in front of him both looked calm, and I don't know if they are really confident or don't know what kind of big shot they have offended? Exclamation mark. Thinking of this, Li Qinghe raised his head and looked at Lin Feng and Chen Dongyun. These two classmates, is this the case? Do you have any explanation? Hey. Chen Dongyun sneered disdainfully. Tisk tisk tisk. Director Li is really good at reversing right and wrong. Chen Dongyun said sarcastically. You. Isn't what I said the truth? Aren't you the one who beat my son and sent Mr. Yi's son to the hospital? Li Gang said with a red face. I admit that we beat him up, but why didn't you ask why? Your good son, he provoked my brother again and again, and finally insulted my parents. So, he was beaten because he was mean. He deserved it. Chen Dongyun said disdainfully. Your quarrel among young people is a reason for you to beat him up. Li Gang said. Oh? You said you shouldn't beat him up. Since you said so. Then, Director Li, I said that I was your mother who gave birth to you, you shouldn't mind, right? Chen Dongyun looked at Li Gang with a joking look on his face and said. You brat. Is this how your parents taught you to be a human being? Li Gang was so angry at Chen Dongyun's words that his veins popped out. Director Li, it's not your turn to judge what my parents taught me. Don't you have the right to understand? If you say that again, I can't guarantee the consequences. Don't wait, you will be beaten too. Call your father out. When the younger one is beaten, the older one will come out. Isn't this the tradition in your family? Oh, I wonder if Director Li's father is still alive. Chen Dongyun said lightly. You. Puff. Li Gang was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood splashed on the face of Li Qinghe, the dean of the School of Computer Science opposite. Everyone was shocked by this scene. What the hell? It turns out that there are really people who can spit blood out of anger. And Li Qinghe was even more confused. Damn it! Exclamation mark. What is this? Exclamation mark. What the hell? I am sprayed with blood on my face. Exclamation mark. Tissue. Li Qinghe shouted loudly. Oh, here, Dean, give it. The people behind Li Qinghe reacted and quickly handed over a pack of tissues. Li Qinghe took a tissue and walked into the nearest dormitory with a dark face to clean it. At this time, everyone came back to their senses, and everyone looked at Chen Dongyun with a strange look on their faces. This Nima. God. And Lin Feng also looked at Chen Dongyun with a speechless face. This Nima, Chen Dongyun is even more awesome than the previous Chen Kun. The brothers in his dormitory are more powerful than each other. Chen Dongyun saw that everyone was looking at him with strange eyes, and he was a little embarrassed. Don't look at me like that, it's none of my business. He was so ashamed that he had some shame and spit out blood himself. Chen Dongyun spread his hands and said casually. Puff. You. Li Gang was so angry at Chen Dongyun's words that he spit out blood again, then his head tilted and fell to the ground. Dad. Li Aoshan rushed forward to support Li Gang and shouted loudly. Oh. So everyone was stunned again. He fainted from anger. This Nima, such a bloody thing really exists? Exclamation mark. Quick. Call an ambulance. Li Aoshan shouted loudly. Hearing Li Aoshan shout, the teachers of the college finally reacted. They hurriedly called an ambulance. At this time, Li Qinghe had washed his face and walked out of the dormitory while wiping his face. He saw the panicked crowd in front of him and heard Li Aoshan shout. What the hell, I just washed my face for less than 2 minutes, so what? Question mark? What's going on? Li Qinghe frowned and asked loudly to several teachers in the college. This. Director Li fainted from anger. A male teacher said. Li Qinghe. He is already an old man, how can his key cultivation skills be so poor? He fainted from anger after just a few words, and I don't know how he got a position of director. What should he do now that this matter has been messed up? Exclamation mark. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1031 New and Old Hatred. Yi Xianlong. Zhou Zhangguo murmured. Then he picked up the phone on the table and dialed a number directly. Hello, it's me, please transfer it to Zhou Zhenbang. Zhou Zhangguo said into the phone. Okay. The person on the other end of the phone replied respectfully. Soon, the call was transferred. Hello. I'm Zhou Zhenbang. A resolute and powerful voice came from the other end of the phone. Hello, Zhenbang, it's me. Zhou Zhangguo said coldly. Oh, brother, it's so late, what's the matter? Zhou Zhanbang said with some confusion. Zhanbang, my little sister's son is in Beijing. Zhou Zhangguo said into the phone. What? Could it be that kid Lin Feng? How is he now? Brother, have you met him? Zhou Zhanbang said excitedly. I met him briefly before, he is studying at Peking University and Tsinghua University now. Zhou Zhangguo said casually. Qingdao and Peking University, this guy is good. Last time I talked to my little sister on the phone, I didn't hear her say that. How is he? What does he look like? What's his personality like? Zhou Zhanbang asked curiously. Oh, he looks quite handsome, but his personality is the same as my little sister, stubborn as a bull. Zhou Zhangguo paused and said. Ha ha ha. Did you get humiliated by this guy? Zhou Zhanbang said with a smile. Well, I asked this guy to come to my house when he is free, and he told me that, sorry, he doesn't have an uncle. Zhou Zhangguo said helplessly. Oh, it seems that this guy knows what happened back then, and he is a little resentful of us. Zhou Zhanbang said with some emotion. Well, let's talk about this later. There is something going on now, please help me deal with it, I am not convenient to do anything. Zhou Zhangguo said. Well? What's it? Zhou Zhanbang said with some doubt. Alice, it's all about Lin Feng. This kid beat up Yi Xianlong's son from the Yi family, and now he's probably stuck in the school. Zhou Zhangguo said helplessly. What do I think it's a big deal? Hey, it's just a beating up of Yi Xianlong's son, what's the big deal? After he finds out Lin Feng's information, he won't do anything to him. Zhou Zhanbang said casually without caring. The problem is that he broke someone's leg. And it's very serious. I guess he'll have to amputate. Zhou Zhangguo said helplessly again. Zhou Zhanbang. Hiss. This kid is so cruel. Zhou Zhanbang muttered to himself. I found that this kid is as violent as my little sister when she was a child. He broke 7 or 8 ribs of the instructor during military training some time ago, and he's still lying on a hospital bed. That instructor is a distant relative of the Li family, I dealt with him. Zhou Zhangguo said with a wry smile. Oh, Zhou Zhanbang didn't know what to say. His nephew is really a violent person. But, so what? Just beat him up. Brother, do you want me to shock the Yi family? Tell them not to mess around. Zhou Zhanbang thought for a moment and said. Well, I want you to go back to Beijing, deal with this matter, and teach our good nephew a lesson. He is so violent, I am afraid that he will get into trouble sooner or later. Zhou Zhangguo said. Okay, boss, I will arrange for the military to return to Beijing immediately. Who dares to touch my nephew, I will kill him. Zhou Zhanbang said domineeringly. Zhou Zhangguo. Second brother, when can you change your temper? You have been in the army for so many years, and you are still the same. Zhou Zhangguo said speechlessly. Haha, I can't change it. I am the boss here. Who dares to control me? Zhou Zhanbang laughed. You. I don't know whether it is right or wrong to let you come back. With your temper and Lin Feng being so violent, I am afraid that you will turn the capital upside down. Zhou Zhangguo smiled bitterly with some helplessness. Okay. Brother, don't worry, I will know my limits. Arrange someone to keep an eye on Lin Feng first, don't let anything happen to him. I'll be there in 2 hours. When the time comes, I'll see who dares to touch my nephew. After saying that, he hung up the phone and immediately ordered to arrange for a military plane to return to Beijing. Soon, Zhou Zhanbang arrived at the airport. Before boarding the plane, he had already made a harsh statement. Lin Feng is from his Zhou family. Whoever dares to touch Lin Feng will have to wait to bear the wrath of his Zhou family. Those who received the news, knowing that Zhou Zhanbang was coming back, quickly told their family members not to touch his eyebrows. As Zhou Zhanbang's words spread, Lin Feng's name officially appeared in the sight of all the top people in Beijing. At the same time, Yi Xianlong also arrived at the gate of Tsinghua University and Peking University. He received a call from Secretary He. Yi Xianlong picked up the phone and answered it. Hello, Mr. Yi, the information of those students has been found. Secretary He's respectful voice came from the phone. Well, you tell me. Yi Xianlong said lightly. There are 4 students involved in this incident, and they live in the same dormitory. 2 of them are rich second generations whose families are engaged in business, so they are not a concern. The 2 who injured Mr. Yi, one is named Chen Dongyun, the son of Chen, the commander of the Beijing military department, and he is a bit troublesome. And the other one's information shows that he is a student from an ordinary family in the Magic City named Lin Feng. But when I further checked his information, I found that his mother was Zhou Qilin, that's right, the eldest daughter of the Zhou family who disappeared in Beijing for a long time. In other words, he is the grandson of Mr. Zhou from the Zhou family. I'm afraid this is not easy to handle. And just now I received news that Zhou Hanbang is coming back, and he has already said that whoever dares to touch Lin Feng will be killed. This is to protect Lin Feng. Secretary, he said hesitantly. Silence. Yi Xianlong was silent. After a long while. Okay, I know, you go and get busy first. Yi Xianlong said lightly. His voice was so calm that no emotion could be heard. Mr. Yi. Secretary, his voice was a little hesitant. Well, I know what to do. Yi Xianlong said calmly. Then he hung up the phone. Lin Feng. Zhou Zhanbang. Zhou Zhanguo. Mr. Zhou. Yi Xianlong held the phone, looked out the window, and muttered to himself. Now his nephew has beaten his son to disability again. He knew hatred and old grudges. Then his eyes became a little sharp. He only has this one son, although he is useless, he is still his own son. If this matter is let go, he is not worthy of being a father. Even if it costs his own face, he must make that little bastard pay the price. At least he has to compensate his son with a leg. At worst, I quit. I have been suppressed all the time, and there is no hope in this life anyway. So, this time I want to see who dares to stop me. Exclamation mark. Soon, Yi Xianlong arrived downstairs at the boys' dormitory of the School of Computer Science. At this time, the small corridor outside Lin Feng's dormitory was already crowded with people. All irrelevant people, go back to the dormitory and sleep. Li Qinghua, the dean of the School of Computer Science, shouted loudly when he saw more and more people filing the corridor. Wow! The onlookers dispersed reluctantly and returned to their dormitories. Only Lin Feng's roommates, Li Aoshan and his son, and Li Qinghua and the people he brought were left in the corridor. Chapter 1032, Unworthy of Being a Father. Li Gang had woken up at this time, and he looked at Chen Donggyun with a face full of resentment. But he didn't dare to speak anymore, there was no way. He was afraid that he would vomit blood again, then he would really die. The atmosphere at the scene was a bit stalemate. It's getting late, and this is not a place to talk. Let's go to another place to sit down and talk, and then solve this matter, okay? Li Qinghua said to several people. Li Gang nodded. He also felt that standing was too tiring, and he vomited blood. He felt that he urgently needed to sit down and rest, and was about to agree. At this time, a voice came. Don't go anywhere, just solve it here. Yi Xianlong came over with a group of people. Mr. Yi, you are finally here. When Li Gang saw Yi Xianlong's appearance, a surprised smile appeared on his face. Then he immediately spoke flatteringly. Yi Xianlong walked closer, glanced at Li Gang, and said nothing. It was you who crippled my son's legs. Then he looked at Lin Feng and said calmly. Lin Feng and his men looked directly at Yi Xianlong without saying anything. Okay, very good. Tie them all up and take them away. Yi Xianlong said slowly to the people behind him. Yes, Mr. Yi. The crowd behind Yi Xianlong responded in unison. They were about to step forward to tie them up. Wait a minute, Mr. Yi, this is not good. Li Qinghua said hesitantly. After all, Lin Feng and his men were students of Tsinghua University and Peking University. They were kidnapped like this, and they didn't know what would happen. Li Qinghua just stood up. Huh? You want to stop me? Yi Xianlong glanced at Li Qinghua and said lightly. This. Mr. Yi, I. Li Qinghua was interrupted before he finished speaking. If you don't want to be implicated, get out of the way, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Yi Xianlong said in a flat tone. Do it. After saying that, he turned around and spoke to his men. The people behind him rushed forward, and Lin Feng saw that there seemed to be no room for negotiation. He was ready to knock all these people down. At this critical moment. Stop it. Another group of fully armed people ran over from the stairs. Wait a minute, Mr. Yi. If you want to talk it over, don't do it. The person who came was Comrade Zio Wang, the orderly. Huh? Captain Wang, what do you mean? Yi Xianlong frowned, glanced at Comrade Zio Wang, the orderly, and said slowly. Mr. Yi, I'm sorry, I can't let you take the person away. Comrade Zhao Wang, the orderly, said calmly. You want to stop me? Yi Xianlong's voice suddenly became cold, and his eyes looked at Comrade Zhao Wang, the orderly. Sorry, this is an order from above. Comrade Zhao Wang, the orderly, looked at Yi Xianlong without looking directly at him, and said calmly. The order from above. Everyone was confused by this sudden scene. Especially Lin Feng and his friends, they were a little confused, and didn't know which side sent this new wave of people. Lin Feng looked at the group of people in front of him. Seeing that Chen Donggyun didn't seem to know them, he thought, then these should be the people arranged by Li Yangwei. So he didn't think about it anymore. The two sides confronted each other, and the scene was a bit awkward. Yi Xianlong just looked at the orderly Comrade Zhao Wang and his group quietly. After a while, what if I have to? Yi Xianlong said calmly with no emotion. Sorry, it's my duty. Comrade Zhao Wang, the orderly, said. So, you are not giving me, Yi Xianlong, face? The Zhou family wants to tear my Yi family apart, right? Yi Xianlong's face showed a trace of anger, and he spoke word by word. Zhou family. Lin Feng looked at Chen Donggyun with a puzzled look. Originally, he thought it was arranged by Li Yangwei, but it turned out to be Chen Donggyun's side. At this time, Chen Donggyun was also confused. Zhou family? Question mark. But he didn't know these people. Could it be that my father arranged other people to come here? Question mark. Chen Donggyun looked at the group of people in front of him in confusion. This shouldn't be the case. Why didn't they come up to say hello? Sorry, the commander didn't say that. He just ordered me to come and protect the good people. As for the rest, it's not within my consideration. Orderly soldier Comrade Zhao Wang said calmly. Good. Very good. What a great Zhou family, what a great Zhou Shengguo. If Zhou Shengguo has the guts, come and tell me in person, otherwise, this matter will not end today. No one wants to leave today. Yi Xianlong was furious and said coldly. Zhou Shengguo. Hiss. Could it be that he is talking about? Everyone present was shocked. It turned out to be that person. I'm afraid that everyone present would know the name of Zhou Shengguo. And at this time Lin Feng also suddenly realized that it was him. Lin Feng's mood was also extremely complicated at this time. He had never wanted to get involved with that side, but this time he was involved. His male mind was a little confused. It was impossible for Lin Feng to say that he had no resentment towards his uncles. Until now, he didn't know how to face them. Ding ling ling, ding ling ling. At this time, a cell phone rang behind Yi Xianlong. After answering, he took it to Yi Xianlong. Mr. Yi, your phone number. The man handed the phone to Yi Xianlong respectfully. Hello, I'm Yi Xianlong. Yi Xianlong picked up the phone and said calmly. Zhao Yi, it's me, Li Kongjin. A voice full of vicissitudes of life came from the other end of the phone. Well, Mr. Li. Hello, Mr. Li. I don't know why you called me so late. What instructions do you have? Yi Xianlong's face suddenly changed, and he immediately spoke respectfully. Hey, Xianlong, it's like this. I heard that there are some misunderstandings between your son and the grandson of the old Zhou family. Oh, it's inevitable for young people to fight and quarrel. Don't argue with children, he. Li Kongjin said with a smile. Mr. Li, this. I didn't expect this matter to alarm you. This is no longer a matter of children fighting. My son's legs may not be saved. I only have this one son. Yi Xianlong said. Oh, is it that serious? Li Kongjin was a little surprised. He didn't expect it to be so serious. Yes, these little bastards are too cruel. They are simply going to cut off the descendants of my Yi family. My son is still lying in the hospital bed. If I don't do something, I'm not worthy of being a father. Yi Xianlong said in a heavy tone. So, Zhao Yi, give me a face and punish him a little. Don't hurt anyone and affect the harmony between the big families. Li Kongjin pondered for a moment and spoke slowly. Chapter 1033 I am your second uncle. Mr. Li, this. Please forgive me for not being able to obey your order. My son is like that, it's impossible that his Zhou family has not suffered any damage at all. If his Zhou family doesn't give my Yi family an explanation for this matter, it will never end. Yi Xianlong said fiercely. Oh, Zhao, if you insist on doing this. I'm afraid, old man, I have to stand on the side of Lao Chen. My grandson recognizes Lao Chen as his eldest brother, And just now he threatened to die in front of me, asking me to save his eldest brother. There's no way, old man, I have already boasted, you can't let me break my promise to my grandson at such an old age, right? Xiaoi, think about it carefully. Li Kongjin said slowly. After speaking, he hung up the phone. Beep beep beep. Yi Xianlong listened to the busy tone of the phone from the mobile phone and was a little distracted. How come all the good things are taken by his Zhou family? It was the same when the leadership was changed. Now that his son has been beaten and disabled, there are still people who come out to help his Zhou family. Does my Li family deserve to be suppressed? My son deserves to be beaten to a cripple? Exclamation mark. Why? Exclamation mark. Yi Xianlong refused to accept it. He was unwilling to accept it. The more Yi Xianlong thought about it, the angrier he became. He was on the verge of exploding. He held his cell phone and looked at the orderly comrade Xiao Wang with an angry face. Haha, Zhou family, good. Very good. Okay, you actually found Mr. Li to pressure me. But, Yi Xianlong, will put my words here today. This kid, I will definitely destroy him today. It's useless for anyone to come today. Do it. Yi Xianlong shouted at the crowd. Stop. No one is allowed to move. Don't blame me for being rude if you move again. Comrade Xiao Wang and the people behind him all took out their weapons and shouted loudly. Insolent. Wang Xiaozi, do you know what you are doing? You point a gun at an extremely different person like me, do you want to rebel? Yi Xianlong shouted at the orderly comrade Xiao Wang. Mr. Yi, I know what I'm doing. I'm just following orders. Please don't make it difficult for me, Mr. Yi. Orderly soldier Xiao Wang looked straight at Yi Xianlong without retreating. He said calmly. Good. Very good. What a good order to follow. Now, as a senior official, I order you to step down. Yi Xianlong ordered loudly. Sorry, Mr. Yi, you are not from the military and have no right to order me. Orderly soldier Xiao Wang said lightly. Yi Xianlong was completely furious. Today I have to take this guy away, let's see what you can do to me. For a while, the scene was tense and ready to explode. At this moment, a roar full of energy sounded at the end of the corridor. Yi Xianlong, try to move him. Everyone looked in the direction where the sound came from. A tall and burly middle-aged man in a dark green military uniform, with a resolute face and a hint of ruffian, walked slowly from the stairs. Behind him was a team of fully armed soldiers. The middle-aged man ignored Yi Xianlong and slowly walked to Lin Feng. He looked at Lin Feng with a smile on his face. Good boy. You've grown so big, he said with a smile, while reaching out and patting Lin Feng's shoulder fiercely. Lin Feng was a little stunned by the pat in front of him. He looked at the middle-aged man in front of him with a confused face. Uncle, who are you? Lin Feng said a little stupidly. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Zhou Zhenbang, your mother's second brother, that is, your uncle. The middle-aged man said with a smile. That's right, the person who came was Lin Feng's second uncle Zhou Zhenbang. He took an emergency helicopter and returned to Beijing. Because he was worried about Lin Feng's safety, he immediately rushed to Tsinghua University as soon as he got off the plane. Oh. Lin Feng looked at Zhou Zhenbang with a complicated face, and didn't know what to say. The person in front of him must be the second brother that his mother Zhou Qilin mentioned before, who had a good relationship with her since childhood, that is, his second uncle. Because his mother said before that the money for his father to start a company was all from his second uncle's private money, which he secretly gave to his mother, so Lin Feng has always had some complicated feelings about this second uncle. It would be a lie to say that he has no complaints at all. But Lin Feng can't hate him. After all, his second uncle has also helped his family. But Lin Feng is puzzled. Why didn't he show up when his family had such a big change in the late last life? Silly boy, what are you standing there for? Call me second uncle. When you were a child, I secretly went to see you. I played with your little chicken. When I held you, you smiled and sprayed urine on my face. I haven't settled this account with you yet. Zhou Zhenbang said with a smile. Lin Feng. Everyone present. Lin Feng was speechless. My second uncle actually did this to me when I was a child. It seems unreliable. Exclamation mark. Lin Feng looked at Zhou Zhenbang with a complicated look, and he couldn't call him second uncle. Zhou Zhenbang saw that he looked ugly and hesitated to speak. He sighed. Alice. Forget it, I know you have resentment in your heart. In fact, things are not as simple as you think. Let's talk about it later. Now, let's solve the problem in front of us first. Zhou Xianbang shook his head and said. Then, his eyes suddenly became sharp, and he turned to look at Yi Xianlong. Yi Xianlong, you want to touch my nephew? Zhou Xianbang's tone was full of disdain. So what? Zhou Laoer, don't pretend in front of me. Others are afraid of you, but I am not afraid of you. Yi Xianlong looked at Zhou Xianbang with a dark face and said. Hey, aren't you afraid of me? I don't know who was pushed into the cesspool by me when he was a child, covered in shit, and then went home to complain. I was beaten by the old man with a belt. Zhou Xianbang said with a joking look on his face. Everyone. It seems that he knows some big secret. I didn't expect that Mr. Yi Xianlong, who usually looks majestic and high, actually has such a dark history. Everyone looked at Yi Xianlong with strange eyes. And Yi Xianlong felt the strange eyes of everyone, and his face turned red. Zhou Laoer, you fart. Don't talk nonsense to me. Yi Xianlong said excitedly. Hey. Zhou Xianbang looked at him with a joking face, and smiled without saying anything. Zhou Laoer, the little bastard next to you broke my son's legs. Today, if he doesn't compensate my son with a pair of legs, this matter will not end. Yi Xianlong said with a cold face. Chapter 1034, The Unavoidable Difficulties. He. Don't think I don't know about this. I've already checked it out before I came here. Your son stood up for others, and he deserves it. How dare he insult my sister? I'm already merciful not to settle accounts with him. What else do you want to say? Ah. Zhou Xianbang pointed at Yi Xianlong's nose and cursed. Stop talking bullshit. It's my son who is beaten, not your son. Anyway, this matter won't end until this kid loses one leg today. Yi Xianlong said with a tough face. Your own son is so good at helping others. If something goes wrong, who can you blame? Stop talking bullshit. Anyway, if you want to touch my nephew, don't even think about it. Zhou Xianbang said with disdain. You. Just when Zhou Xianbang and Yi Xianlong were arguing and cursing at each other. Boss, is this Zhou Xianbang, Commander Zhou really your uncle? Chen Dongyun quietly approached Lin Feng and asked weakly. Lin Feng glanced at Chen Dongyun, and then looked at Zhou Xianbang who was pointing at Yi Xianlong and cursing. Yet, after hesitating for a while, he nodded. Hiss. So, that one, is your uncle? Chen Dongyun said in shock. Lin Feng glanced at him and said nothing. Oh my goodness. Boss, I didn't expect that you are actually the prince. Chen Dongyun continued to speak. Don't say it, this matter is a bit complicated. I am just an ordinary person, not a prince. Lin Feng said casually. Seeing Lin Feng said this, although Chen Dongyun was still a little curious, he didn't ask any more questions. Anyway, you will know later, there is no rush. Okay, I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. Just make a way for it. Otherwise, go home and hug your wife to sleep. My time is precious. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you here. After arguing for a while, Zhou Xianbang said impatiently. Okay, very good. In short, this matter, your Zhou family will not give me an explanation, it will not end. Even if it goes to the older generation, I will fight your Zhou family to the end. Yi Xianlong said angrily. Okay, don't you just want to stuff your useless brother into that position? Just your little tricks, don't think I don't know. I'll go back and discuss this with the boss. At most, I'll support your useless brother to take the position. Now, you F-King, you can't fight, why don't you get out of here quickly, and still wait for me to treat you to supper? Zhou Xianbang looked at Yi Xianlong with contempt and said. You. Yi Xianlong's face changed. After a few minutes of silence. Zhou Laoer, remember what you said today. Yi Xianlong looked at Zhou Xianbang with a deep look on his face and said. I didn't say anything, get out of here. Zhou Xianbang said with a look of disgust. Yi Xianlong turned his head and glanced at Lin Feng, his eyes full of meaning. Let's go. Yi Xianlong said, and left with his people. Just left like that? Everyone looked at each other. Is this the end of this matter? Question mark? The expected scene of fighting and bleeding did not appear. In the end, the conversation between Zhou Xianbang and Yi Xianlong was incomprehensible to everyone. It's not their fault. Without a certain level, how can you understand the game between these big men? Since the phone call from Li Yangwei's grandfather Li Kongjin, Li Lao, the result of this matter has been doomed. The Yi family alone can't beat the Zhou family, let alone at a Li family. It's doomed to fail. No one wants to shake the current situation. The anger and various things that Ye Xianlong showed later were nothing more than trying to increase his own bargaining chips and seek greater benefits for his family. As for Huang Maolong, just a waste. In front of the interests of the family, he is nothing. So, this matter ends here. As for the deeper level, it is not something they can touch. Papa. Okay, call it a day. Zhou Xianbang clapped his hands and said. As for Li Aoshan and Li Gang, when Ye Xianlong confronted everyone, the ambulance came and they hurriedly slipped away. As for what will happen to them later, there is no need to think about it, it must be cold. Even if Zhou Xianbang lets him go, Ye Xianlong and the Ye family will not let him go. After all, Li Aoshan is the cause of this matter. Then he walked towards Lin Feng and looked at Lin Feng with a smile on his face. Lin Feng, let's go. Go back to the family compound with me, and go back to have a good chat? Zhou Xianbang looked at Lin Feng and said. Lin Feng looked at Zhou Xianbang with a complicated face, not knowing how to start. After all, he just helped him solve a big problem. Judging from the last conversation, the price he paid is probably not small. Don't worry, the old man is not on the family compound. Only your uncle's family is at home. And the old man doesn't know about this. He probably doesn't know about you even though you came to Beijing. Just when Lin Feng was hesitant, Zhou Xianbang seemed to see Lin Feng's concerns and smiled and said. Yes. Lin Feng hesitated and nodded. Then Lin Feng said hello to Chen Donggyun and others, and followed Zhou Xianbang. As for the other people at the scene, they naturally went back to their own homes and looked for their own mothers. In a military jeep, Lin Feng and Zhou Xianbang sat in the back seat. Lin Feng, I know you are resentful towards us and your grandpa because of your mother's affairs. But this matter is not as simple as you think. Things are very complicated and cannot be explained in a short time. Your grandpa did that at the beginning, and he had to do it. You just need to know that your uncles have always been paying attention to your family and your affairs. I don't force you to be nice to us immediately, but I just hope you can be less repulsive to us. Also, I hope you can be better to your cousins later, and really treat them as a family, and don't let the grievances of our previous generation affect your next generation. Zhou Xianbang looked at Lin Feng in the car and spoke slowly. Lin Feng was silent. It seems that the matter about his mother is really not that simple. Maybe even his mother doesn't know the secrets. It seems that we still have to find an opportunity to understand these things clearly, otherwise I am afraid that I will regret it when I know the truth in the future. After thinking for a while, Lin Feng raised his head and looked at Zhou Xianbang. After staring at Zhou Xianbang for a while, Lin Feng retracted his gaze. Okay, I understand. Lin Feng said calmly. Chapter 1035 Past Events. Good. Good boy. I knew you weren't the unreasonable kind of person. Can you call me uncle now? Zhou Xianbang smiled and said excitedly. Second uncle. Lin Feng said softly. Now that he had figured it out, Lin Feng wasn't the kind of person who would pretend, so he called him directly. Ha ha ha. Good. 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 By the way, I couldn't go over to your engagement last time, so the engagement gift I prepared for you is still in the southwest. I'll have someone send it to you tomorrow. Bring my nephew's wife back to the compound when you have time, so that the uncles can see her. Zhou Xianbang said happily. Okay. Lin Feng nodded. He could see that Zhou Xianbang was really happy, not just pretending. This affection and love came from the heart. By the way, Lin Feng, let me tell you. In our Zhou family, your uncles plus your mother, we only have you as a male. Your burden will be heavy in the future. Zhou Xianbang sighed. That's right, there is not a single boy among the three brothers of the Zhou family. The eldest brother, Zhou Xianggu, has two daughters, one a few years older than Lin Feng, and the other 1 year younger than Lin Feng. The second brother, Zhou Xianbang, has only one daughter, 2 years older than Lin Feng. The third brother, Zhou Xianhua, has 3 children, all daughters. The oldest one is 1 year younger than Lin Feng, and the youngest is only 10 years old. So, Lin Feng has 2 older cousins and 4 younger cousins. After listening to Zhou Xianbang's words, Lin Feng was speechless. There is not even a single boy. Then he is really the only one. The two chatted about family matters, and the car soon arrived at the family compound. After entering the compound, Lin Feng actually felt a little nervous. Lin Feng, who had always thought that he had no uncles, Suddenly found out that he had grandparents and several uncles some time ago, and now he met them again. It all felt unreal. So his mood was a bit complicated, mixed with a little nervousness of recognizing relatives. "Brother, I'm back," Zhou Zhanbang shouted loudly as soon as he entered the door. "Second brother, you are so loud, just come back, why are you shouting? What time is it?" disturbing the neighbors. Zhou Zhangou's voice came from the living room. "Ha ha ha. Brother, look who's here." Zhou Zhanbang laughed. Then he took Lin Feng into the living room. Zhou Zhangou slowly raised his head and looked over, his eyes passed Zhou Zhanbang and fell on Lin Feng. He was stunned for a moment, and then a smile appeared on his face. "Lin Feng is here too," Zhou Zhangou said with a smile. "Yes." Lin Feng nodded. "Come and sit down, just treat it as your own home, don't be polite," Zhou Zhangou said happily. Afterwards, Lin Feng and Zhou Zhanbang walked to the sofa and sat down. "Since Lin Feng followed you back, the matter is settled, right?" Zhou Zhangou asked with a smile. "Well, big brother, he promised the Zhou family to support his useless brother Yuxi and Long to take the position, and that guy was willing to give in," Zhou Zhanbang said casually. "Oh, support it, as long as Lin Feng is fine." Zhou Zhangou paused, then slowly spoke. Lin Feng noticed Zhou Zhangou's pause, and it seemed that the price was really not small. This favor is really owed. Afterwards, Zhou Zhangou looked at the time, it was almost 5:30 in the morning. Everyone worked on this matter all night. "It's getting late, let's talk while eating breakfast. Lin Feng, if you have anything to ask, just ask it, and our two uncles will tell you everything we can tell you," Zhou Zhangou said slowly. Soon the three of them sat at the dining table, eating breakfast and chatting. As for Lin Feng's aunt and cousin, since it was still early and they were still resting, they didn't disturb them. "Lin Feng, do you really want to know why your grandpa cut off all ties with your mother?" Zhou Zhangou drank some soy milk and said slowly. "Yes." Lin Feng nodded. "Actually, this is what happened back then. Your mother secretly stole the household registration book from home and got married with your father. This incident really made your grandpa furious. However, this matter is not the most important thing. After all, the matter has been settled. Although your grandfather is a bit stubborn, he is not unreasonable. The main thing is that your mother was pregnant with you before she got a marriage certificate. This was a big deal at the time. Under the general environment at the time, she would be thrown into a pig cage. Although your mother and your father got the marriage certificate later, this matter was known to our Zhou family's opponents, and they were ready to use this matter to suppress our Zhou family. And at that time, your grandfather was about to retire and was in a precarious situation. If they succeeded, our Zhou family would be finished. So your grandfather had to make a prompt decision and expel your mother from the house. Even if our Zhou family was abolished, we could save your family of three and leave a trace of blood for the Zhou family. And in order to make the enemy believe, you can only pretend to be real. Your mother didn't know about this. Because of your mother's personality at the time, she was so strong and stubborn. If she knew, she would never agree. She will definitely stick with the Zhou family to the end. Later, the matter became more and more serious. Everyone in the capital knew about it, and it finally became true. Your mother and your grandfather completely severed their father-daughter relationship and left with your father. Although your grandfather was reluctant, things had come to this point and there was no way to end it. Your grandfather is also an extremely stubborn person. It is harder than climbing to the sky to get him to admit his mistakes. Later, our Zhou family survived those years, and now we have gradually gained a firm foothold. Your grandfather was angry for a moment, like a child. If your mother didn't contact the family, he wouldn't take the initiative to contact them. Anyway, he just refused to admit defeat. It's just that your grandmother saw your grandfather secretly taking out your mother's photo album at night and looking at it silently more than once. In fact, he has regretted it, but he is just stubborn and refuses to admit defeat. In his own words, how can a father admit his mistakes to his daughter? It's just that he has been secretly paying attention to your family of three over the years, and from time to time he would use the excuse of contacting old comrades to inquire about your mother's situation. We all know all this, but it's hard to say. So over the years, I have suggested several times that your parents and you go to Beijing, but your grandfather disagreed, because he felt that the water in Beijing is too complicated. If you are not careful, I'm afraid the entire Zhou family will be completely defeated. Besides, he thinks that your family of three is living a happy life now, and he doesn't want to disrupt this peace. Exclamation mark. Quotation mark. Chapter 1036 System Double Rewards. You don't know how happy your grandpa was when he found out your mother gave birth to you, especially, you are the only male in our Zhou family. When a few of us went to see you secretly, he knew about it, but he just turned a blind eye and didn't say anything. He wanted to go too, but he just couldn't bring himself to do it. Alice, old children, looking at children, that's what I'm talking about when it comes to your grandpa. Actually, your grandpa has always been paying attention to you, but you just don't know it. And what happened recently? Didn't you get the full score in the country and be the top scorer? After your grandpa saw you on TV, he was so happy. He even exclaimed that his grandson is promising. He even asked someone to secretly edit the video of your interview, and he would look at it from time to time to see you. These are what your grandma told me when she called me a few days ago, and your grandpa's health is getting worse and worse, and I don't know how long he can live. We want to find a time to bring your parents to Beijing so that they can have a good talk. It would be best if they can reconcile and make up for your grandpa's regret. If you have time, you can accompany your grandpa and enjoy his last moments. So, I don't know, Lin Feng, what do you mean? After listening to Zhou Hangou's words, Lin Feng felt mixed emotions. I didn't expect the truth to be like this. It's really hard to tell right from wrong about the things of the older generation. But what Lin Feng was puzzled about was why he had never come to recognize him in the previous life, and he had never heard his mother mention anything about his grandpa. Even until the end when something happened in his family, no one showed up. What exactly is the reason? Exclamation mark. Lin Feng couldn't figure it out. Uncle, does the Zhou family still have enemies now, and are they the kind that can smash the Zhou family to pieces at any time? Lin Feng raised his head and looked at Zhou Hangou with a burning gaze and said, Huh? Zhou Hangou and Zhou Hanbang looked at each other with doubts in their eyes. How did this kid know? The two of them seemed to have never mentioned this. After the two looked at each other for a while, Zhou Hanbang nodded to Zhou Hangou. So Zhou Hangou looked at Lin Feng with a complicated look. Well, that's right. Now the Zhou family has a biggest enemy, that is the Yi family today. The two families have been competitors and have been fighting for countless years. Now it's time for a change of leadership, and I don't know how long your grandfather's body can last. If you are not careful, the Zhou family will indeed fall into the dust. But you don't have to think too much. These things are not your turn to participate in the younger generation. Everything is up to me and your two uncles. You kids, just go to school with peace of mind. Don't worry. Zhou Hangou said slowly. Lin Feng suddenly remembered that the one who was in charge of the family in the previous life was indeed surnamed Yi. So that's it. So, at this time in the previous life, the Zhou family was defeated and fell into the dust. This also explains why they didn't recognize each other in the previous life, and no one showed up when something big happened in the family later. I'm afraid that everyone in the Zhou family was too busy to take care of themselves at that time, and they might even be afraid of implicating their own family and are not contact. What's more frightening is that the changes in his family may be man-made. After all, his father's company was doing well, but suddenly went bankrupt. After learning the truth, Lin Feng also figured out things that he hadn't figured out before. The reason why he recognized each other and knew the truth in this life is probably because the butterfly effect of his rebirth changed his original life trajectory. After all, the system, to achieve a perfect life, the integrity of family affection must be an indispensable part. Thinking of this, Lin Feng completely understood. The resentment in his heart towards his grandfather's family disappeared in an instant. Although it is impossible to accept them in my heart all at once, there will be no rejection from now on. After all, blood is thicker than water. After breakfast, I chatted for a while. Lin Feng rejected Zhou Hangou and Zhou Hanbang's proposal to send someone to send him back to school. A person walked out of the family compound, and it was completely bright at this time. The pedestrians on the street were all in a hurry, some were rushing to work, some were rushing to school, and everyone was welcoming the arrival of a new day. Lin Feng stood by the road, watching this scene, a little distracted. In his pocket was the pass to the military family compound given by Zhou Hangou, who asked him to bring Zhang Yuxi over on the weekend. By then, Lin Feng's uncles, aunts, cousins, and cousins would all come back and the family would get together. Huh? Lin Feng took a deep breath, feeling that all this was so unreal. At this moment, the crisp voice of the system came into Lin Feng's mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the goals of the life stage. The family relationship is complete, and the system reward is triggered. Reward new ability, Chinese medicine skills, national medical master ability. Congratulations to the host for triggering the hidden reward, the formula of the longevity potion. Note 1. Chinese medicine skills national medical master ability will be obtained through memory transmission and muscle auxiliary memory function. The national medical master ability, the host will obtain the ancient and modern Chinese medicine theory knowledge, as well as acupuncture and massage techniques, which can treat all difficult and complicated diseases in today's society. Remark 2. Longevity potion formula. The host can make longevity potion according to the formula. After taking it, it can activate the vitality of new cells in the human body to achieve the effect of longevity. This specific effect depends on personal constitution. It can extend life up to 30 years, and can only be taken once in a lifetime. The moment the system finished speaking. At this moment, a large amount of knowledge poured into Lin Feng's mind, filling his entire mind. Chapter 1037 An Opportunity. Suddenly, Lin Feng's memory had a new part about the theory of traditional Chinese medicine. It was not abrupt, as if it had always existed. And there was also a new potion formula in his mind. This must be the so-called longevity potion formula. What does the system mean by giving this at this time? Let Lin Feng extend his grandfather's life? And then stabilize the situation and let the Zhou family win again in this competition? Lin Feng thought about it and probably meant it. The conditions for the system upgrade all say that the family relationship is complete. So I was arranged again? Lin Feng smiled helplessly. Forget it, let's do it this way for now. Longevity potion. From ancient times to the present, who in this world doesn't want to live longer? Especially those in high positions. The more I look at it, the more I fear death. This may be an opportunity for me to accumulate my own strength. This incident made Lin Feng understand that he did not have enough power and a certain social position, so he could only be manipulated and slaughtered by others. If it weren't for the Zhou family's move this time, I guess I would really have to flee abroad. Although some systems are in place, and you are still doing well, but being away from home and wandering around, is that a perfect life? Lin Feng thought about it and laughed at himself. Longevity potion, even if some people can only extend their lives for a year or two, it is enough to make people crazy. I should work hard. As a reborn person, I now have a trump card like longevity potion. If I can't rise quickly, I really don't deserve to have a system. For Zhang Yuxi, for my family, for my brothers and friends around me, it's time for me to do something. Li family, right. I, Lin Feng, have written it down. One day, I will make you pay back 100-fold for what happened today. The warm morning sun shone on Lin Feng's face. Lin Feng came back to his senses and looked at the sun that had risen completely. A new life is coming. Let me, Lin Feng, leave a strong mark in this world. At this time, Lin Feng suddenly missed Zhang Yuxi. So he smiled and stopped a taxi. Master, Tsinghua University, thank you. Lin Feng said casually after getting in the car. Okay, hold on. The driver said with a smile. Soon Lin Feng returned to the downstairs of the female dormitory of the School of Finance of Tsinghua University. Lin Feng, holding a breakfast in his hand, called Zhang Yuxi. Beep beep. The call was soon connected. Hello, Lin Feng, what's wrong? Zhang Yuxi's somewhat confused, lazy and soft voice came from the phone. Yuxi, I miss you. Lin Feng said softly and gently. Big fool, why are you so mushy so early in the morning? Zhang Yuxi said coquettishly. Yuxi, I'm downstairs in your dormitory. I brought you breakfast. Come down. Lin Feng said with a smile. Yes. Zhang Yuxi smiled sweetly and said softly. After hanging up the phone, Lin Feng looked at the door of the female dormitory, and a slight smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. After waiting for a few minutes, Zhang Yuxi ran down in pajamas, slippers, and a coat casually. Though slightly messy hair, no makeup, the plain face is still very attractive. The whole person is like a fairy who has fallen into the world, and people can't help but look at her at a glance. Zhang Yuxi saw Lin Feng from a distance and hurriedly trotted towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng was afraid that she would fall, so he hurried over and shook his head helplessly. After the two stood still. Little fool, why are you running? If you fall down later, someone will cry. Lin Feng pinched Zhang Yuxi's little nose and said helplessly. He. After the two stood still, Zhang Yuxi smiled mischievously at Lin Feng. Okay, take breakfast back to the dormitory to eat. After eating, you have to go to class, right? Today. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi with a gentle face and said, "Yes. Then I'll go up first." Zhang Yuxi smiled sweetly. "Well, go. After class in the afternoon, I'll pick you up home." Lin Feng also said with a smile. "Okay, bye, my dear husband." Zhang Yuxi stuck out her tongue and said mischievously, "Little fool, did you forget something?" Lin Feng pointed to his side face and said mischievously. Swish, 2 red clouds appeared on Zhang Yuxi's face. She quickly tiptoed and kissed Lin Feng on the face. Then she quickly shrank back and looked around quietly. Fortunately, no one saw it. Ha ha ha. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi, who looked like she had done something bad and was afraid of being seen, and couldn't help laughing. HMPH. I'm ignoring you. Zhang Yuxi rolled her eyes at Lin Feng and said coquettishly. After that, she turned around and ran away. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi jumping like a little rabbit, so cute. The smile on his face deepened. He looked at Zhang Yuxi's gradually disappearing back and shook his head. This is the person he wants to protect. Lin Feng was in a good mood. With his hands behind his head, he walked towards the male dormitory of the School of Computer Science while humming a little tune. Because of the incident last night, all the freshman classes of the School of Computer Science were suspended and would not start until tomorrow. So when Lin Feng returned to the dormitory, several people in the dormitory were still sleeping soundly. There was no way. It was too late and too tiring last night. Lin Feng quietly walked into the dormitory, not wanting to wake them up. He stood on the balcony and suddenly wanted to smoke a cigarette. He touched his pocket. Haha, the pack of 9-5 Supreme that he bought yesterday was still there. Lin Feng opened the cigarette box, took out a cigarette from it, and gently held it in his mouth. Pa. Suck. Huff. Lin Feng lit the cigarette, took a deep breath, let the smoke go down his throat into his lungs, and then slowly exhaled. Too many things happened this night, making Lin Feng's thoughts a little messy. Squeak. At this time, the glass door of the balcony was slowly pushed open. Huh? Lin Feng turned around and looked back. It turned out that Chen Kun woke up and walked out. Boss, you're back. Chen Kun gently closed the glass door of the balcony and said to Lin Feng. Yes. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. Want a cigarette? Lin Feng handed the cigarette box to Chen Kun and said. Yes. Chen Kun took the cigarette box handed over by Lin Feng and nodded. Then he opened the cigarette box and took out a cigarette from it and lit it. Huh? Boss, I'm sorry. Chen Kun said after taking a deep puff of the cigarette. Why are you suddenly saying this again? Lin Feng rolled his eyes at Chen Kun and said dissatisfiedly. Boss, I feel so useless. I caused the trouble, but in the end, I let you and the fourth brother take the lead. I'm really a grandson. Pa. Chen Kun slapped himself in the face and said with a look of self-blame. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1038 Communication. Second brother. That's enough. It's all over, stop talking about it, I understand what you mean. If you still recognize me as the boss, don't say anything more, and don't blame yourself. We are brothers, it's too formal to say this. Lin Feng looked at Chen Kun with a serious face and said. Yes, what the boss said is right, we are all brothers, what can you say? At this time, the glass door of the balcony was pushed open again. Chen Dongyun said while pushing the door. Huh? Lin Feng and Chen Kun were startled by Chen Dongyun who suddenly appeared. Oh, boss, second brother, I smelled the smoke, and I woke up because of my urge to smoke. Chen Dongyun saw Lin Feng and Chen Kun staring at him, and said a little embarrassedly. Then, Chen Dongyun took the pack of 9-5 Supreme from Chen Kun and took out a cigarette and lit it. He also smoked happily. The three stood on the balcony and puffed out smoke. Brother, what's going on between you and my sister-in-law's roommate? Chen Dongyun asked casually after exhaling a puff of cigarette. Oh, what do you mean? We're just ordinary friends. What else can we do? Chen Kun replied somewhat embarrassedly. Hey, ordinary relationship. Do you think I would believe it? Chen Dongyun looked at Chen Kun with a joking look on his face and said. Oh, what else can we do? It's only been a short time, and you're together just after meeting each other. Even if I want to, the girl won't agree. Chen Kun rolled his eyes at Chen Donggyun and said unhappily. Brother, have you heard of Guanzhong and Bao Shuaya? Chen Donggyun suddenly asked Chen Kun with a wicked smile on his face. This is nonsense. Guanzhong and Bao Shuaya are figures from the spring and autumn period. The characters come from records of the Grand Historian, biographies of Guan and Yan. Did we learn this in high school? Although my college entrance examination results can't compare with the elder brother, I am also a leader in our East Province, okay? Do you think your second brother bought my admission to Tsinghua University with money? Chen Kun rolled his eyes at Chen Donggyun and said unhappily. Who is this kid looking down on? That's right. Then you should know about the friendship between Guan and Bao. Come on. You and classmate Su Anna are still far from the friendship between Guan and Bao. Chen Donggyun said with a meaningful look on his face, patting Chen Kun on the shoulder. The friendship between Guan and Bao. Lin Feng, who had all kinds of jokes in his previous life, immediately heard the meaningful meaning in Chen Donggyun's words. Lin Feng was speechless. He glanced at Chen Kun, who was a little confused, and then at Chen Donggyun, who was grinning. Feeling a little helpless, he shook his head. Chen Kun hadn't reacted yet, but he looked at Chen Donggyun's evil smile with suspicion. It must be nothing good. He slapped Chen Donggyun's claws and glared at him. You kid, you must be thinking of something evil. Chen Kun said to Chen Donggyun in a bad mood. How could it be? I didn't say anything. I didn't, you're talking nonsense, don't wrong me. Hey. Chen Donggyun denied it flatly. Then he and Chen Kun started to play on the balcony. Lin Feng was smoking a cigarette on the side with a smile on his face. Such a life, how wonderful. Time passed quickly. Soon a day passed. After school in the afternoon, Lin Feng drove his Mercedes-Benz G500 to the teaching building of the School of Finance. There was also Chen Kun, a classmate, who also drove his Porsche Cayenne behind Lin Feng. This guy was going to pick up Su Anna. These two people are really hooking up. It was the afternoon after school, and a huge crowd of people rushed out of the teaching building. Lin Feng and Chen Kun leaned against the car waiting for Zhang Yuxi and Su Anna to appear. Oh my. Mercedes-Benz G. Porsche Cayenne. Where did these two rich second generations come from? I don't know who they are waiting for. It's only been a short time since the start of school. They acted so quickly. Passing students pointed at Lin Feng and Chen Kun and talked about them. Soon, the four people in Zhang Yuxi's dormitory walked out of the teaching building while laughing. Zhang Yuxi saw Lin Feng from a distance. The smile on her delicate little face became even brighter. Hey, Yuxi, your handsome guy is here to see you again. Li Yi said with a smile. Hey, what's the name of that tall boy? It seems to be your roommate, Yuxi. Why is he here too? Li Yi suddenly found Chen Kun next to Lin Feng and said with some confusion. What she didn't notice was that Su Anna beside her also had a happy smile on her face. Then several people walked quickly to Lin Feng and Chen Kun. Lin Feng naturally took Zhang Yuxi's hand. Hello, sister-in-law. Hi, ladies, we meet again. Chen Kun smiled and greeted Zhang Yuxi and others. Hello, handsome guy. Li Yi said with a smile. The others also smiled and nodded to Chen Kun. Chen. Li Yi tilted her head and wanted to call Chen Kun's name, but she couldn't remember it. Chen Kun. At this time, Su Anna beside her answered. Yes, that, handsome Chen Kun, are you here to play with us? Li Yi asked curiously. Oh. Chen Kun glanced, a little embarrassed, not knowing how to respond. Okay, he came to see me. Su Anna generously spoke to help Chen Kun out. Huh? Several girls looked at Su Anna in surprise. Well, Anna, what are you doing? Li Yi looked at Su Anna with a shocked face and said. Zhang Yuxi and Xiaoyu also looked curious. Classmate Chen Kun wanted to buy some books. I happened to be familiar with this, and wanted me to help him pick a few books, so he came to me. Su Anna said with a smile. Li Yi looked at Su Anna with suspicion, and then looked at Chen Kun. Obviously, she didn't believe this statement. Hey. Okay, then, second brother, Yuxi and I have something to go back, so we'll leave first. Lin Feng, who knew the truth of the matter, smiled and said to Chen Kun. Classmates, then we'll leave first. I'll treat you to dinner next time when I'm free. Then Lin Feng turned around and said to Li Yi and the others. Let's go. So that you two won't start showing off your affection again later. Li Yi waved her hand and said. It seems that she was scared of being abused by dogs before. But what she didn't know was that Su Anna and Chen Kun in front of her would also abuse dogs. Hey. Lin Feng smiled, and then got into the car with Zhang Yuxi. Boom. The engine roared, and Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi waved to the others again, then stepped on the accelerator and left quickly. Chapter 1039. There's something fishy. Several people watched Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi go away. Well, sisters, Chen Kun and I are going to the bookstore too. Do you two want to come with us? Then Su Anna said to Li Yi and Xiaoyu. Yes, do you two want to come with us? Chen Kun also spoke up when he saw Su Anna say that. Going to the bookstore. I don't really want to go. How about you guys go? Li Yi said hesitantly. Well, I won't go either. Xiaoyu glanced at Chen Kun and Su Anna and spoke slowly. Okay, if you don't want to go, we'll leave first. Su Anna didn't pretend and spoke directly. Yes, let's go. Li Yi and Xiaoyu nodded. Then, classmate Chen Kun, let's go. Su Anna looked at Chen Kun and spoke slowly. Oh. Classmate Anna, let's get in the car. Chen Kun reacted and spoke quickly. Then he walked to his Porsche Cayenne and opened the door for Su Anna like a gentleman. Wow. This car is so cool. Is this car yours, Chen Kun? Li Yi asked in surprise. Hey. Chen Kun smiled awkwardly and nodded. Wow, I didn't expect you to have a car too. This car is so cool. I want to sit in it too. Li Yi said excitedly. Yi, didn't you say you were going back to eat? Let's go quickly. I'm starving. Xiaoyu said at this time. Oh, okay. Li Yi said a little disappointedly. Then Chen Kun also sat in the driver's seat. Sisters, let's go first. Su Anna waved to Li Yi and Xiaoyu and said. Xiaoyu also waved to the two of them. Boom. Soon, Chen Kun started the car and disappeared from their sight. Li Yi watched the car gradually disappear, a little absent-minded. I didn't expect this. Chen Kun is quite rich. Li Yi muttered to herself. By the way, why do I feel that there is something wrong between Anna and this Chen Kun? Li Yi suddenly spoke to Xiaoyu. Hey. Silly girl, you just noticed it. Xiaoyu smiled and said. What? You mean, they really have something fishy? Oh my god. Anna, this guy. Li Yi was surprised after realizing it belatedly. Okay, silly girl. Don't think about it, let's go. Xiaoyu pulled Li Yi, who was still in a daze, and spoke. Oh. Li Yi came back to her senses. Then the two walked towards the school cafeteria. As they walked, Li Yi suddenly stopped and didn't move. What's wrong? Xiaoyu asked with some confusion. I've decided. Li Yi said with a firm look at Xiaoyu. What decision? Xiaoyu was a little confused. What was this silly girl doing? I've decided. I want to fall in love too. Li Yi suddenly said loudly. Junior sister, are you serious? At this time, a voice sounded behind the two of them. Li Yi and Xiaoyu were startled. The two looked back and found that it was a few seniors passing by who were looking at them with a playful look on their faces. Li Yi covered her face, screamed and ran away. At this time, Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi had returned to their love nest. Catcha. Lin Feng opened the door and the two walked in. It's still comfortable at home. Lin Feng didn't take off his shoes as soon as he entered the door, and he lay down on the sofa with a relaxed look on his face. Okay, get up and drink some water first. Zhang Yuxi poured a glass of water for Lin Feng and said with a smile. Lin Feng got up and took the water handed over by Zhang Yuxi and took a sip. Honey, what do you want to eat tonight? Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi and said gently. I don't know. I don't seem to have much appetite. Zhang Yuxi said with some entanglement. In the past, when Lin Feng asked her what she wanted to eat, she would definitely report a series of dishes. I don't know why, but Zhang Yuxi felt that she had no appetite at all today. What's wrong? Are you feeling uncomfortable? Lin Feng stood up and asked hurriedly, his face full of anxiety. Big fool, I'm fine. I don't know what happened today, I just don't feel like I have much appetite. Zhang Yuxi saw Lin Feng's worried face and smiled and said. Did you eat something unclean today? Lin Feng still asked with some worry. No, don't worry, it's okay. Zhang Yuxi smiled. Okay, I'm hungry, let's cook. Honey, I want to eat the hairy crab I just bought. Zhang Yuxi said to Lin Feng. Okay, your husband will make it for you. Lin Feng pinched Zhang Yuxi's little nose and said. Then, the two of them went into the kitchen and got busy. As for where the ingredients came from, Lin Feng bought a refrigerator to store the ingredients, just so that the two of them could eat them when they went home occasionally. As for the hairy crabs, they bought them when they passed by the vegetable market on the way back just now. After a busy period, the fragrant dishes were served on the table. The color, fragrance and taste made Zhang Yuxi, who originally had no appetite, unable to resist the appetite. Not long after, a sumptuous meal was finished by the two of them. Early the next morning, Lin Feng was woken up by Zhang Yuxi. Zhang Yuxi took the end of her hair and teased Lin Feng's nose. Achoo! Lin Feng sneezed in his sleep and then woke up. Hey! Zhang Yuxi laughed mischievously. Lin Feng opened his eyes in a daze, and what came into his sight was Zhang Yuxi's exquisite and beautiful little face. Wife, why are you up so early? Lin Feng rubbed his eyes and asked softly. Hubby, I can't sleep. I'm hungry, Zhang Yuxi said coquettishly. Okay, husband will get up now and make it for you. Lin Feng touched Zhang Yuxi's little face and said with a doting look. Hubby, you are so nice. Zhang Yuxi said with a smile. Oh, little greedy cat, you are not pregnant, are you? You are so greedy. Lin Feng said jokingly. Hubby, no way. Zhang Yuxi's little face suddenly became nervous. Haha, okay, husband is teasing you. Seeing Zhang Yuxi's nervous look, Lin Feng hurriedly comforted her. Hubby, you are a big bad guy. If you scare me again, I will ignore you. Zhang Yuxi rolled her eyes at Lin Feng and said aggrievedly. Chapter 1040, Straight Man. Okay, dear, I won't tease you anymore, don't worry. Lin Feng hugged Zhang Yuxi in his arms and said hurriedly. After the two of them were intimate for a while. Okay, wife, go wash up. Hubby will make breakfast for you now, dear. Lin Feng said softly. I don't want to move. Zhang Yuxi said lazily. Okay, dear, I have to go back to school later. Lin Feng coaxed Zhang Yuxi. This little fool is playing tricks like a child. Lin Feng smiled helplessly. I want a hug. Zhang Yuxi sat on the bed, stretched out her hands and said coquettishly. Wearing a long t-shirt pajamas, she looked very cute when she was acting coquettishly at this moment. Okay. Hug me, husband. Lin Feng said with a doting face. Zhang Yuxi threw herself into Lin Feng's arms, hugged Lin Feng's neck like an octopus, clamped her legs around Lin Feng's waist, and hugged Lin Feng tightly. Lin Feng shook his head helplessly and smiled, then carried Zhang Yuxi to wash up. This silly girl does this every day. If her body is not good enough, she can't meet her requirements. Lin Feng thought to himself. Afterwards, after they finished washing up with Zhang Yuxi in his arms, Lin Feng went to make breakfast after carrying Zhang Yuxi back to the room. Chop chop chop. In the kitchen, Lin Feng started his acrobatic magic cooking performance again. Soon a table of Cantonese breakfast was served on the table. There were steamed spare ribs with black bean sauce, soft and glutinous chicken feet, steamed buns, glutinous rice chicken. All classic Cantonese breakfasts. Lin Feng took off his apron and washed his hands. While wiping his hands, he walked towards the bedroom on the second floor. Little lazy pig, get up and have breakfast. Lin Feng pushed open the door of the bedroom and walked in. Oh, I'm changing clothes. Get out quickly. At this time, Zhang Yuxi was changing clothes in the room, and Lin Feng walked in. Zhang Yuxi rolled her eyes at Lin Feng and said coquettishly. Lin Feng didn't say anything. He leaned against the door of the room and admired the beautiful scenery in front of him. He nodded with satisfaction. This girl is so big and thin. I don't know how this little fool grows up. I haven't seen her exercise. How can she have such a good figure? Lin Feng asked curiously. This little fool can still maintain a perfect figure by eating and drinking every day. If other girls knew about this, they would probably be envious and jealous. At this time, Zhang Yuxi changed her clothes and turned around to see Lin Feng leaning against the door and looking at her, nodding from time to time. Does it look good? Zhang Yuxi said. Yeah, it looks good. Lin Feng said without thinking. Then he reacted immediately. Lin Feng smiled and touched his nose a little embarrassedly. Huh, you big bad guy. Zhang Yuxi rolled her eyes at Lin Feng and said coquettishly. Okay, we are already an old married couple, it's not like we haven't seen it before, heh. Lin Feng walked up to Zhang Yuxi and hugged her slender waist, and said with a smirk on his face, "Hate it. Stop talking, it's so embarrassing." Zhang Yuxi stamped her feet and covered her face with her hands. Ha ha ha. Okay, I won't talk about it. My dear wife, breakfast is ready, let's go downstairs to have breakfast. Lin Feng smiled and said softly. When she heard about breakfast, Zhang Yuxi's eyes lit up and she looked like a little greedy cat. Lin Feng smiled helplessly. To use the popular online terms of the previous life, Zhang Yuxi is a little foodie. Afterwards, Zhang Yuxi took Lin Feng's hand and they went downstairs to have breakfast. Wow, husband, I feel so happy. Zhang Yuxi just walked to the dining table and said loudly with stars in her eyes. Oh, little fool, you feel happy with delicious food. Lin Feng smiled helplessly. I feel happy when my husband is around. Because when my husband is around, there are delicious foods. Hehe. Zhang Yuxi said with a naughty smile. Oh, you, I really can't do anything with you. Okay, little greedy cat, sit down and eat quickly, it won't taste good if it gets cold later. Lin Feng smiled and said with a doting look. Yes. Zhang Yuxi smiled sweetly. Then, the two began to enjoy the delicious breakfast. The exquisiteness and sweet taste of Cantonese breakfast made Zhang Yuxi enjoy it very much. Coupled with Lin Feng's god-level cooking skills, the originally simple ingredients were made into a taste that was simply delicious on earth, which made people unable to stop. After enjoying breakfast beautifully, Zhang Yuxi sat on the dining table chair, touching her little belly, looking like she was full. Husband, if I get fat in the future, you are not allowed to dislike me. Because it's all your fault. Who made you cook so delicious? Zhang Yuxi said with a serious face. Oh, I won't dislike it. Even if you get fat, I still like you. Lin Feng was stunned for a moment and said. Humph. You're wrong. You should say, how could my wife get fat? My wife is the most beautiful in my heart. You should say that. Humph, I'm angry. I'm not going to pay attention to you. Zhang Yuxi said angrily with her mouth pressed against her. Lin Feng. This girl, this is unreasonable. Lin Feng felt bitter and helpless. My dear wife, this is what your husband means. How could my wife get fat? She won't get fat now or in the future. She will always be the most beautiful in your husband's heart. Lin Feng hurriedly said to coax Zhang Yuxi. Pudgy. Humph, you're smart. I'll let you go this time. After hearing what Lin Feng said, Zhang Yuxi couldn't help laughing when she saw him looking nervous. Lin Feng then secretly wiped the sweat from his forehead. This woman, once the relationship changes, the goddess will also reveal the nature of a little witch. Men are too difficult. After breakfast. After packing up, Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi prepared to go out to school. Lin Feng sat on the sofa waiting for Zhang Yuxi to put on makeup. Although Lin Feng felt that Zhang Yuxi was already as beautiful as a fairy without makeup. But loving beauty is the exclusive privilege of girls. Every time Zhang Yuxi goes out, she will apply some isolation and sunscreen, draw eyebrows and so on. Lin Feng doesn't understand these. Anyway, when girls put something on their faces, Lin Feng thinks that it is makeup. Zhang Yuxi explained to him several times, what isolation, sunscreen, lotion and so on. Lin Feng was confused, and forgot it in a blink of an eye. Later, Zhang Yuxi was too lazy to explain to him. Lin Feng is a steel straight man. Hubby, my period seems to be here. Zhang Yuxi's voice came from the room. Ah. Oh. Lin Feng was stunned for a moment before he reacted. Wife, are you okay? Lin Feng hurried into the bedroom. Chapter 1041, Mother's worry when her son travels away. Oh, I'm fine. Zhang Yuxi came out of the bathroom with a red face. Honey, I'm fine. Zhang Yuxi lowered her head and was embarrassed to look at Lin Feng, and said in a low voice. Seeing Zhang Yuxi's shy look, Lin Feng couldn't help but gently embrace her in his arms. Little silly, do you feel uncomfortable in your stomach? Lin Feng said with some heartache. No, it's okay. Zhang Yuxi leaned on Lin Feng's arms and said softly. After a while, the few people went out. Lin Feng was worried that Zhang Yuxi would be in severe pain like last time, so he was paying attention to Zhang Yuxi's condition all the way. As the saying goes, dysmenorrhea is not a disease, but it hurts to death. Lin Feng was really worried about Zhang Yuxi's condition. Soon Lin Feng drove the car and the two came to the girls' dormitory of the School of Finance. Because it was still early, Zhang Yuxi had a class at 10:30 in the morning, so she went back to the dormitory first, just in time to rest. Lin Feng had a class at 9 o'clock, so they went out. Just now, Lin Feng wanted to skip class today because he was worried that Zhang Yuxi was not feeling well. But Zhang Yuxi refused, saying that she was fine, and repeatedly emphasized that she was fine. Only then did Lin Feng agree to go out, but he was still worried. In front of the door of the girls' dormitory, Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi with a worried look. "Wife, are you really okay?" Lin Feng said with a worried look. "Okay, big fool. I'm really fine, this time, it doesn't hurt." Zhang Yuxi looked at Lin Feng with a funny look and said. Lin Feng still looked worried, he cared too much about Zhang Yuxi. "Okay, dear, go back quickly, it's already 8:30, you still have to go to class later." Zhang Yuxi coaxed Lin Feng like coaxing a child. "Well, okay, I'm leaving." Lin Feng said. "Yeah, go quickly, you'll be late later." Zhang Yuxi nodded and said. "If you feel uncomfortable later, call me immediately, okay?" Lin Feng reminded. "Okay, I get it, you nagging ghost," Zhang Yuxi said with a smile. Lin Feng looked at the time and realized that he really had to go. If he didn't leave, he would be late. So, he took advantage of Zhang Yuxi's inattention and secretly kissed her on the face. Then he left with satisfaction. Swish, Zhang Yuxi's face turned red to the roots behind her ears. Looking at Lin Feng's back, Zhang Yuxi stomped her feet. Humph! This big bad guy. Always bullying others. Then, Lin Feng drove to the teaching building of the School of Computer Science. Soon Lin Feng arrived at the large classroom where the class was held. On the way, Lin Feng had asked Chen Donggyun and others to help him get the textbooks. This professor's class was as boring and tedious as in high school. The worst thing was that the whole day was this professor's course. I don't know how the college arranged it. The first day of class was so painful. As for Lin Feng, he stayed in the last row of the classroom during the class that day, and sent messages to Zhang Yuxi from time to time. After lunch, he took a 2-hour lunch break and then went to class. Lin Feng sent messages to Zhang Yuxi as usual, and time passed quickly. Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi both had no classes in the evening. Zhang Yuxi also had her period today, and Lin Feng was worried. So after school in the afternoon, he went to pick up Zhang Yuxi and go home together. As soon as he got home, Lin Feng asked Zhang Yuxi to sit on the sofa, and he immediately went to boil brown sugar water. With the experience of the last time, Lin Feng was familiar with it. He soon boiled the brown sugar water and brought it out. Seeing Lin Feng busying around and nervous about himself, Zhang Yuxi felt that she was not having her period, but just like she was pregnant, which made Lin Feng very nervous. But she felt warm in her heart, this big fool. Huh? Wife, drink it while it's hot. Lin Feng brought a brown sugar water to his mouth and blew it to cool it down, then handed it to Zhang Yuxi. Yes. Zhang Yuxi smiled sweetly and nodded, her heart was full of sweetness. Honey, I'm fine, don't be so nervous. You make me look like a pregnant woman. Zhang Yuxi saw Lin Feng looking at her nervously, rolled her eyes and said. Oh, he. Lin Feng smiled awkwardly. Honey, by the way, I want to tell you something. Lin Feng suddenly remembered and said. What's wrong? After drinking a mouthful of red sugar water, Zhang Yuxi looked at Lin Feng with some confusion and said. It's like this, I met with my uncle and invited us to his house this weekend to have a meal together. Lin Feng said softly. Zhang Yuxi was a little confused because she knew that Lin Feng didn't seem to want to get involved with his uncle. But now. Oh, something happened before, and I learned some of the truth about what happened back then. Now, although I have a strong liking for them, I don't have any resentment. Just treat it as a normal interaction between relatives. Lin Feng said slowly. Yes, honey, I listen to you. Zhang Yuxi nodded after listening. Since Lin Feng said this, it proves that he has thought it through. Therefore, Zhang Yuxi supports him. Okay, then tomorrow, let's go over there on the weekend. Lin Feng said when he saw Zhang Yuxi agreed. Yes, Zhang Yuxi nodded. Well, then I'll call my mom and tell her about this. Lin Feng thought about it and said. Then he picked up the phone and walked to the balcony and dialed Zhou Qilin's number. Beep beep beep. The call was quickly connected. Hello, son, what's wrong? The happy voice of Lin Feng's mother Zhou Qilin came from the other end of the phone. Mom, how is your family recently? Lin Feng said with a smile. Your family is still the same, but I don't work anymore and I'm a little bored. Zhou Qilin said with a smile. What about Dad? Is my dad in good health? Watch him and let him smoke less. Lin Feng said softly. Well, your dad is fine. He's busy with his advertising company every day and never comes home. As for cigarettes, he's quit since he made a bet with you to quit smoking. Joe Killen said with a smile. Then my dad is still trustworthy. Lin Feng said with a smile. Of course not, I'm keeping an eye on him. Joe Killen said with a smile. By the way, Mom, I have something to tell you. Lin Feng said softly. What's wrong, son? What's the matter? Do you need money? Your money is still with me. I haven't moved it. If you want it, I'll go to the bank tomorrow to transfer it to you. Joe Killen said hurriedly. Oh, a mother worries about her son even when he is thousands of miles away. It turns out that all mothers in the world are the same. Chapter 1042. There is another secret. Mom, it's not that. I still have money. Lin Feng said softly. Huh? What happened? Joe Killen said with some confusion. Mom, I met with my uncle. Lin Feng said slowly. Oh. Joe Killen on the other end of the phone was silent. After a while. Mom, are you listening? Lin Feng asked softly. Oh. Joe Killen came back to her senses and said. How are they? Are they okay? Joe Killen hesitated and asked. Well, they're all okay. I met with my eldest uncle and second uncle, and they helped me solve some problems. Lin Feng said. Well, as long as they are okay. Joe Killen said slowly. Well, Mom, my uncle told me that there was actually another hidden story behind what happened back then. Lin Feng hesitated and said. Well, I actually knew it a long time ago. Joe Killen said softly. Mom, you know everything. Lin Feng was a little surprised. Well, there were some things they kept from me back then, and I was kept in the dark. Although Mom was a bit stubborn and impulsive when she was young, after so many years, although she can't know everything, she has roughly known some things through some clues. Joe Killen said calmly. Oh, Mom, do you still resent Grandpa and uncles? Lin Feng hesitated and spoke slowly. Joe Killen on the other end of the phone was silent again. Half a minute later. Silly child, in fact, Mom has never resented your grandpa and uncles. Although at the beginning, your grandpa's behavior made Mom very angry. But after so many years, I have already let it go. I am no longer angry, let alone resentful. Although I don't know the reason why your grandpa did this, he must have his own ideas. After all, your grandpa loved your mother the most back then. Joe Killen said calmly. This time it was Lin Feng's turn to be silent. He didn't expect that his mother Joe Killen had never resented Grandpa and uncles. So he didn't know how to speak. Son. Joe Killen suddenly called out. Well, Mom, what's wrong? Tell me. Lin Feng asked with some doubt. Son, has your uncle ever mentioned your grandpa? Joe Killen hesitated, but still asked. Well, we talked a little. Grandpa doesn't live in the family compound now. He moved to the sanatorium over in Jiangshan, Beijing. Lin Feng replied. Your grandpa, is he okay? Joe Killen paused and spoke. Uncle said that Grandpa's health is not good. I'm afraid he won't be able to hold on for many days. Lin Feng hesitated, but still spoke out. Joe Killen on the other end of the phone was silent again. Mom, Uncle and others want to take you and Dad over if possible, to go see Grandpa together. Lin Feng said softly. Well. Joe Killen replied with a well, and didn't continue talking. The two were silent again. After a long while. Son, are you and Zhang Yuxi doing well now? Are you adapting to college life? Joe Killen suddenly spoke up to break the silence. Well, Yuxi and I are doing fine. Oh, by the way, Mom, Yuxi and I bought a house in Beijing. Now the two of us live here, and occasionally we live in the school. Lin Feng suddenly remembered and spoke up. Son, did you buy a house? How is the house? How big is it? How many square meters? How much is it? Joe Killen was surprised and asked a series of questions. Hey. Mom, you asked so many questions at once, how do you want me to answer you? Lin Feng smiled helplessly. You kid, what's so difficult about this? Just tell me how the house is. Joe Killen said unhappily. Oh, hey. The house is pretty good, it's a duplex flat, the house is very big. You and my dad can come and live here when you have time, and you'll know when the time comes. Lin Feng said with a smile. Yes, Mom and Dad, take some time to go over and see you and Yuxi. Oh, by the way, you kid, don't bully Yuxi. Otherwise, I won't forgive you. Joe Killen said viciously. Oh, Mom, am I your son, or is Yuxi your daughter? Lin Feng said bitterly. What are you saying? Haven't you heard that a daughter-in-law is equivalent to half a daughter? Besides, you kid are mean and mean. I'm worried about you. Also, you kid was given to me for free when I topped up my phone bill, it's not worth anything. Joe Killen said jokingly. Yuxi. My mom said I was mean, and it was given to me for free when I topped up my phone bill. And she told me not to bully you, otherwise she would beat me. Lin Feng turned around and shouted at Zhang Yuxi on the sofa in the living room. Ha ha ha. Auntie is right, you are a big bad guy. And you bully me all day long, Zhang Yuxi said with a smile. Oh. Lin Feng was a little bitter and helpless. This family status is clear at a glance. Hey. Son, give the phone to Yuxi, I'll talk to my daughter-in-law. Joe Killen also heard Zhang Yuxi's voice and said with a smile. Yes. Lin Feng nodded and replied. Then he walked in with the phone and handed it to Zhang Yuxi. Yuxi, Mom said she wanted to talk to you for a few words. Lin Feng said helplessly. Period. Hello, Mom. Zhang Yuxi took the phone with a smile and blurted out what Lin Feng said. After she finished speaking, she reacted by herself. Her little face flushed. Oh, that's it, Auntie Zhang Yuxi said shyly. Hey. Okay. Yuxi, it's not wrong to call Mom. You are already engaged, so you can change to Mom. Joe Killen said with a smile. Oh, Mom. Zhang Yuxi said shyly in a low voice. Hey Yuxi, are you feeling well recently? Did Lin Feng bully you? If he dares to bully you, just tell Mom and I'll take care of it for you. Joe Killen said happily. Mom, I'm fine, Lin Feng didn't bully me. Zhang Yuxi said sweetly. Hey. That's good, Joe Killen also said with a smile. Yes, Mom, I found that Lin Feng's cooking is delicious, he almost made me fat. Zhang Yuxi said with a smile. Chapter 1043, Chinese Medical Master. Really? I don't think I've eaten the food cooked by this guy yet, so I have to try it someday. Joe Killen said in surprise. When are you free? Come to Beijing to play, and ask Lin Feng to make you delicious food. Zhang Yuxi nodded and said with a smile. Okay, Mom, I'll go to Beijing to see you two in a few days. Joe Killen agreed with a smile. Yes. After the two chatted for a while, they hung up the phone. As soon as she hung up the phone, Zhang Yuxi saw Lin Feng staring at her. Oh, husband, what's wrong? Zhang Yuxi said in confusion. Calling Mom all the time, it's very smooth. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi with a playful face and said with a smile. Burp. Hateful. Don't laugh at me. It was Auntie who asked me to call you that. Zhang Yuxi rolled her eyes at Lin Feng and said coquettishly. Ha ha ha. No, you call me that well. You should have called me Mom a long time ago. My wife. Lin Feng laughed. Zhang Yuxi rolled her eyes at Lin Feng again and ignored him. Wife, that, it seems that you haven't called me daddy for a long time, Lin Feng said with a joking face. Huh? I won't. You'll be mad. Zhang Yuxi snorted. Really not. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi with a naughty smile and said. Oh, Auntie is right, you are just mean and naughty. Huh? I won't call. Lululu. Zhang Yuxi stuck out her tongue mischievously and said very cutely. Wife, you forced me to do this. Lin Feng said and rushed towards Zhang Yuxi. Ah. Zhang Yuxi screamed and was thrown onto the sofa by Lin Feng. Wahahaha. I won't call. Ahahaha. Zhang Yuxi laughed and refused to call Lin Feng daddy. It seems that I have to use my ultimate move. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi with a naughty face and said. Ahahaha. No. Ah. It's so itchy. Lin Feng. Zhang Yuxi was tickled and laughed non-stop. Ahahaha. Husband, it's leaking. Zhang Yuxi laughed and suddenly paused and said loudly. Huh? It's leaking. Lin Feng also stopped and said with a puzzled look. Hey, Lin Feng, get up quickly. That, it seems. It's leaking. Zhang Yuxi pushed Lin Feng away, jumped up from the sofa, and ran to the bathroom in a hurry. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi's panic and suddenly thought of something. Oh, it's leaking. This. Did we say it would prevent side leakage? Lin Feng looked embarrassed. After a few minutes, Zhang Yuxi came out with a shy look. She rolled her eyes at Lin Feng. It's all your fault. Zhang Yuxi said angrily. Oh. Lin Feng looked embarrassed, touched his nose awkwardly and dared not speak. My dear wife, I have always had a question. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi and suddenly said. Zhang Yuxi glanced at Lin Feng, and the meaning was very clear, that is, you tell me. That is it. You girls have to bleed for a few days every month, but why are you still full of energy after that? Lin Feng asked curiously. Zhang Yuxi. This big fool. What kind of stupid questions are you asking? How can I answer this? Zhang Yuxi was speechless. Suddenly, a lot of relevant knowledge about this issue emerged in Lin Feng's mind. As for why it's okay for women to bleed during menstruation, first of all, it's caused by the special physiological structure of women, and the amount of bleeding each month is relatively small, which does not reach the level of excessive blood loss, causing a weak condition. On the contrary, the bleeding process of menstruation every month is a detoxification process, which promotes blood renewal. So even though there is menstrual bleeding every month, the bone marrow is replenishing new blood every day, so women are still full of energy after menstruation. Oh, that's right, I forgot about it. Now I'm a master of traditional Chinese medicine. And a master of traditional Chinese medicine. It's just that I've always forgotten about it. Now if these related knowledge didn't automatically pop up in my mind, Lin Feng himself wouldn't remember this. But, how does Lin Feng see it? How can this expression be so much like a modern expression, and not like the ancient Chinese medicine? Shouldn't ancient Chinese medicine be similar to classical Chinese, such as hazy? Why is it so strange? Lin Feng was a little confused. After thinking about it, he couldn't figure it out, so he shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Afterwards, Zhang Yuxi did not answer Lin Feng's question because she did not know how to answer it. And Lin Feng did not ask Zhang Yuxi this question again because he already knew the answer. Then the two sat on the sofa and chatted. This time, Lin Feng did not dare to play and fight with Zhang Yuxi in a big way. Time passed quickly. Lin Feng spent every day in class and accompanying Zhang Yuxi. These days, Lin Feng has been thinking about starting a company. Lin Feng is thinking about what kind of company to start, whether to go into the emerging technology industry of the future, or the pharmaceutical industry. After all, Lin Feng has a lot of ancient Chinese medicine knowledge at hand. More importantly, Lin Feng has the formula of the longevity potion. But this must not be promoted on a large scale, otherwise it will easily attract attention and cause unnecessary trouble. Lin Feng thought, can the formula be changed to reduce the efficacy of the medicine and make it into a health product or something like that? Although the efficacy of the medicine has been reduced, it must have a certain effect of strengthening the body, and it is also much stronger than those so-called health products and nutritional products on the market. But the medical industry is too complicated. With his current social status, it might not be easy to deal with it. Lin Feng decided to wait until the weekend to go to the military family compound and have dinner with his uncles to raise the issue and see what they think. Can they give him certain privileges and help? So Lin Feng put this matter aside for the time being. Time soon came to Friday school time. In the classroom, Lin Feng was packing up his things, preparing to go back to the dormitory to put his things away and then pick up Zhang Yuxi to go home. Boss, I have an unwelcome request, At this time, Chen Kun suddenly spoke to Lin Feng. Huh? What do you want to do again? Lin Feng glanced at Chen Kun and said casually. Boss, a few of us want to visit your house and get together by the way. Do you think it's okay? Of course, it would be even better if I could invite my sister-in-law and her roommates to come along. Boss, I don't mean anything else, it's mainly because it's more lively with more people, Chen Kun said with a flattering look. Chapter 1044 Dinner. Yes, we have wanted to visit the old man's house for a long time. He said. Well, mainly because I am tired of the dormitory and want to see the new environment. Chen Dongyun was also talking nonsense seriously. Lin Feng. These guys. Second brother, aren't you very interested in Anna? Lin Feng glanced at Chen Kun and said unhappily. Yes, this is not my lifelong event. But the third and fourth brothers are still not settled. I am thinking about my brothers. Chen Kun laughed. Second brother, you are righteous. Chen Dongyun and Suhi gave Chen Kun a thumbs up and said. Lin Feng. It is true that Anna, Li Yer, and Xiaoyu and Zhang Yuxi's dormitory are all good looking. They should be considered beauties, and their appearance is probably around 70 or 80 points. So, it is not surprising that Chen Donggyun and his guys like those girls. Of course, compared with Zhang Yuxi, it is far behind. The difference is like heaven and earth. There is no comparison at all. Haven't you heard that a difference of 1 point can crush a large group of people? Chen Donggyun and others looked at Lin Feng expectantly. Lin Feng shook his head helplessly, and then he took out his mobile phone. Chen Donggyun and others saw that Lin Feng didn't speak, and they were anxious. Boss, is it okay? Boss, we are miserable. Second brother shows affection in front of us every day. I am almost uncomfortable to death. Yes, yes. Boss, please have pity on us. Chen Donggyun and Suhi looked at Lin Feng pitifully and said, what a hurry, I was just about to call and ask. You have to ask the girl if she has time and is willing to go. Lin Feng glared at Chen Donggyun and Suhi and said unhappily. Is that so, hehe? Chen Donggyun and Suhi laughed after hearing what Lin Feng said. Lin Feng rolled his eyes at them, picked up the phone and walked aside to call Zhang Yuxi. Hello, Lin Feng, are you here so soon? Zhang Yuxi said as soon as the phone was connected. This silly girl, every time she was in a crowded place, she was embarrassed to call her husband, so she just called Lin Feng's name. Not yet, wife. Lin Feng said with a smile. What's the matter? Zhang Yuxi asked with some confusion. Wife, it's like this. Chen Donggyun and a few others in my dormitory want to visit our house and get together. They also want to invite a few roommates in your dormitory, saying that it would be more lively with more people. So, I want to ask what my wife thinks. If my wife doesn't want to, then I will turn them down. Lin Feng said slowly. Sure, it's okay, husband. My roommates asked me a few days ago where our home is, and they also want to visit it. That's great, I'll ask them now. If it's okay, let's go together today. But it will be hard for my husband, who has to cook for so many people. Zhang Yuxi said with a smile. It's okay, wife, you can ask them now. If you have time and are willing, we will drive to the girls' dormitory to pick you up later. It just so happens that they all have cars, and they can all sit at once. Lin Feng also said with a smile. Yes, hubby, then I'll ask them first, and I'll send you a message later. Zhang Yuxi said softly. Okay, wife, kiss. Lin Feng said to the phone in a mushy way. Zhang Yuxi on the other end of the phone had no choice but to let Lin Feng come. Then the two hung up the phone. Lin Feng walked back with his phone. Boss, what's going on? Chen Donggyun and his friends asked excitedly. Oh, we haven't confirmed whether the girls have time or are willing to come. Why are you guys so impatient? Let's go back to the dormitory to put our things. Lin Feng rolled his eyes at them and waved his hand unhappily. Chen Donggyun and his friends had no choice but to follow Lin Feng back to the dormitory. As soon as they returned to the dormitory, Lin Feng received a message from Zhang Yuxi. Lin Feng clicked on the message and took a look, then smiled. Pa. Brothers, there's news. Lin Feng clapped his hands and said. Boss, what's going on? What do you mean? Chen Donggyun and his friends immediately ran to Lin Feng, looked at him eagerly, and said. Hey. They agreed. Lin Feng said with a smile. Yes. Chen Donggyun and his friends immediately laughed excitedly. Okay, that's enough. Hurry up and pack up. Let's go pick them up. Don't let the girls wait too long. Lin Feng interrupted the excitement of several people and said. Okay, Chen Donggyun and others immediately started to pack up. Some did their hair, some changed their clothes. They were extremely excited. 10 minutes later, a group of people went downstairs. Boss, are we all going to drive? Chen Donggyun asked. Well, let's all drive. Sit separately, it's more comfortable, and it will also create opportunities for you. Lin Feng said casually. The boss is still thoughtful. Then, the 4 people in Lin Feng's dormitory drove a car each and set off. That's right, Suhi also bought a car. The new car he just picked up 2 days ago, a Mercedes-Benz Glen. Suhi, this guy, was so excited on the day he picked up the car that he had to drive to class and forced Lin Feng and others to go to class together in his car. On that day, he was so excited that he wanted to sleep in the car. After that excitement, I've been feeling better these past 2 days. I've been a little bored, not as crazy as that day. After Lin Feng and the other 4 got into their own cars, boom, boom. Several roars of engines rang out, echoing throughout the parking lot. Then, one after another, they drove out of the parking lot. The first was Lin Feng's Mercedes-Benz G500, followed by Chen Kun's Porsche Cayenne, then Suhi's new Mercedes-Benz Glen, and the last was Chen Donggyun's Loki Audi A4. Several people slowed down and drove slowly towards the female dormitory of the School of Finance. About 10 minutes later, the gate of the female dormitory of the School of Finance was in front of them. Squeak. Several brake sounds were heard, and Lin Feng and the others stopped steadily in front of the gate of the female dormitory of the School of Finance. Lin Feng took out his mobile phone and called Zhang Yuxi. "Hello, wife, we are downstairs of your dormitory." After the call was connected, Lin Feng said, "Hello, husband, we will be downstairs soon." Zhang Yuxi said happily. "Well, okay, no hurry, I'll wait for you," Lin Feng said. Then the two hung up the phone. After Lin Feng hung up the phone, he opened the car door and got out. Seeing this, Chen Kun and others also opened the car door and got out. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1045, More Than 10 Million, An Ordinary Family? Boss, where are the sisters-in-law? Chen Donggyun asked. They'll be down soon. Wait a few minutes. Lin Feng answered casually. Then, Chen Donggyun took out a pack of 9-5 Supreme and handed one to each of Lin Feng and the others. The four leaned against the car and smoked openly. The girls passing by looked at the four cars parked side by side at the entrance of the girls' dormitory and looked at the four people with some curiosity. Some bold girls even pointed at the few people and talked about it. Wow, are these four people looking for someone? 4 cars, they don't look cheap. That's not the point. The point is that these guys are all good looking. Especially the one in the middle, his appearance is amazing, so handsome. Love. You love a shit. Parked at the entrance of the girls' dormitory, it's obvious that they are looking for someone. You have no chance. Humph. That's not certain. Anyway, as long as I'm not married, I still have a chance. What if the guy falls in love with me? A group of women looked at Lin Feng and the others and talked about it. Hey, third brother, there are a few girls looking at us over there. Do you want to go over and get in touch with us so that we can talk about life and ideals and exchange feelings when we have time? Chen Kun said to Suhi next to him with a lewd smile. Oh, if you want to go, go by yourself. I'm not going. Look at the figure of that girl. Damn, my small body will be killed by a sitting on my butt. I can't stand it, I can't stand it. Second brother, you go. Suhi looked at the girls over there, trembled, and said in fear. Me. I'm a pure little boy. I have Anna in my family, which is enough. Chen Kun said with a deep look of affection. Ugh, second brother, I'm not saying anything bad about you, but you are a big guy, and you are a pure little boy. Suhi said with a look of disgust. Oh, third brother, you are jealous and envious. I am your second brother and I am generous. I won't bother with you. I forgive you. Chen Kun said with a proud look. HMPH, boss, you take care of the second one. Look at how this guy is acting. His tail is almost up to the sky. Suhi said to Lin Feng with a wronged look on his face. Okay, stop playing tricks. They are coming down. Lin Feng smiled and said while looking at the entrance of the girls' dormitory. After hearing what Lin Feng said, Chen Kun, Chen Donggyun, Suhi and others hurriedly looked towards the entrance of the girls' dormitory. Zhang Yuxi and other girls walked out of the dormitory door while talking and laughing, and walked towards them. Wow. Handsome guys, are you going to have a car show? Why are you driving so many cars here today? After they approached, Li Yi covered her mouth with her hands and looked at Lin Feng and others in surprise and said. Isn't this to make the beauties sit more comfortably? Chen Donggyun said with a smile. Okay, now that everyone is here, let's go. Classmates, choose the car you like and get in. Today, the 3 of them will be your exclusive drivers. Lin Feng smiled and said to Su Anna and the others. Wife, let's get in the car too. Lin Feng said to Zhang Yuxi softly and tenderly. Then he took Zhang Yuxi's hand and turned to walk towards his Mercedes-Benz G500. After helping Zhang Yuxi get in the car, Lin Feng also got into the driver's seat. After habitually helping Zhang Yuxi fasten her seat belt, Lin Feng opened the car window and looked at the few people. Su Anna naturally got into Chen Kun's Porsche. Li Yi jumped and ran to Suhi's new Mercedes-Benz Glen. The remaining Xiaoyu smiled and got into Chen Donggyun's Audi A4. Let's go. Seeing that everyone was seated, Lin Feng stuck his head out of the car window and shouted. Then he started the ignition and started the car and set off. A line of 4 cars followed one after another, slowly heading towards the school gate. After driving out of the school, Lin Feng stepped on the accelerator and sped towards his own community. Chen Donggyun and others followed closely behind. Honey, is my roommate Anna dating Chen Kun from your dormitory? Zhang Yuxi suddenly asked. Well, even if they haven't officially confirmed their relationship, it's probably almost the same. Hehe. Lin Feng said with a smile. Ah. Really? I saw Anna always sending messages to Chen Kun these days, so I guessed it, but I didn't expect it to be true. How did these two people get together so quickly? Zhang Yuxi said in surprise. Hehe. They fell in love with each other. Sometimes feelings are like this, when they come, they can't be stopped. Isn't it the same as us at that time, my wife? Lin Feng turned his head and glanced at Zhang Yuxi, and said with a smile. Soon, the few of them drove back to the community where Lin Feng lived. After getting off the car, the few of them took the elevator upstairs with large and small bags of vegetables. Ding ding ding. After Lin Feng opened the door with his fingerprint, Chen Donggyun and others came in carrying large and small bags of vegetables. Wow. Boss, your dick is really big. No, boss, your house is really big. Chen Donggyun said as soon as he entered the door. Oh my god. Boss, you are so good. It seems that you are the only one in this floor? It's a large duplex. The decoration is also the type I like. It's so beautiful. Suhi also said. Then, Zhang Yuxi's roommates Li Yi and others also walked in. Wow, Zhang Yuxi, is this the house you bought with your family? It's so big and beautiful. Li Yi also said with stars in her eyes. Suanna and Xiaoyu were also full of envy. Hehe. Okay, third brother, you guys take the things to the kitchen first. Student Su, you guys sit wherever you want. Wife, sit on the sofa with them for a while and rest. I'll go make you a pot of tea. Lin Feng said with a smile. After that, Lin Feng turned around to make tea. Zhang Yuxi, your house is really nice. How much did you spend on it? Li Yi asked with envy. Hehe. How much? It seems to be more than 10 million. I forgot, I can't remember clearly. Zhang Yuxi thought for a while and said. Oh my. More than 10 million. Yuxi, does your family mind? Li Yi said in shock. Oh, it's not that exaggerated. Lin Feng's family is just an ordinary family. He earned all this money by himself. Zhang Yuxi said casually. Chapter 1046, that's to Versailles. Oh, a house worth more than 10 million yuan can be bought just like that. I want it too. Li Yi muttered to herself. She couldn't hear the second half of Zhang Yuxi's sentence. Xiaoyu and the others heard it, and she was a little surprised. Yuxi, are you saying that the money for buying the house was earned by your man himself? Xiaoyu asked softly. Yes, that's right. Lin Feng told me that he earned it himself. Zhang Yuxi nodded and said. Oh. Everyone heard Zhang Yuxi's words and was shocked. Xiaoyu and the other girls always thought that Lin Feng's family was rich and he was a rich second generation. Unexpectedly, all the money was earned by Lin Feng himself. Chen Kun and the others were also a little surprised. They knew that Lin Feng was rich, but they didn't know that their boss had this ability. So everyone was shocked. So, the car that your man is driving now was also bought with his own money? Xiaoyu continued to ask. Yes, he also bought this car with his own money. He also has a Ferrari 488 Pistaspeder at home in Shanghai. I don't know much about this. He bought this car when we were traveling after the college entrance examination. He said that it was not suitable for long-distance self-driving. Zhang Yuxi said casually. But just saying it casually is so Versailles. Several girls may not understand what a Ferrari 488 Pistaspeder is, but Lin Feng's roommate Chen Donggyun and others do. Hiss. Sister-in-law, are you saying that the boss has another Ferrari 488 Pistaspeder? Chen Kun and Chen Donggyun looked at each other and whispered. Yes. Zhang Yuxi nodded. Oh, that car is 4 or 5 million. The boss is awesome. Chen Donggyun and the other three said in unison. Wow. So expensive. Li Yi and the others said with their mouths covered in surprise. Obviously shocked, a car is so expensive. But it's not their fault. Girls don't have any idea about these cars. They can only tell whether they look good or not. Well, let me just say that a Mercedes-Benz G500 that the boss is driving now is also more than 2 million. Sui said in a low voice. The girls. They were completely stunned, even a little numb. A house worth more than 10 million, and 2 cars worth 7 or 8 million. What on earth did Lin Feng do to make so much money? This was beyond their imagination. At this time, Lin Feng washed the tea set and walked back with the tea set. Seeing that several people were silent and didn't speak, they were a little confused. What's wrong? Are you all tired? Why is no one talking? Lin Feng asked with some confusion. Oh, everyone looked at Lin Feng with a complicated expression. This man in front of them, so powerful, actually looks so casual at ordinary times. Boss, sister-in-law said you also have a Ferrari 488 Pistaspiter. Chen Dongyun looked at Lin Feng and asked. Well, yes, I'm in my hometown. What's wrong? Lin Feng said casually. Oh, there are not many cars like that in China now. Well, boss, can you lend it to me if you have a chance to drive it? Chen Dongyun looked at Lin Feng excitedly and said. Oh, I thought it was something else. Okay, if you have a chance, go to my hometown, Shanghai, and drive it at will. Lin Feng said lightly and casually. Generous, thank you boss. Chen Dongyun said happily. Lin Feng waved his hand to indicate that it was okay. Oh, by the way, sister-in-law said that you earned the money for buying a car and a house yourself. Chen Dongyun continued to ask in a low voice. Oh, this. Well, I earned it myself, what's wrong? Lin Feng thought for a while and answered. After all, the money won in the lottery is also considered earned by yourself, right? Lin Feng thought shamelessly. Hiss. Really? Well, boss, what did you do to make so much money? Chen Kun and the others looked at Lin Feng with curiosity and asked. Actually, I didn't do anything. I just helped people do some planning and investment. Lin Feng said casually. After all, it's hard to say, just think of it as your own money. Oh, right. I'm going to start a company. If you are interested, I can bring you to invest some money. Of course, I can't guarantee that I will make money. You have to think it through. Lin Feng thought about his plan to start a business and mentioned it casually. Although he is not short of money and can do it himself, if the brothers in the dormitory believe in him and are interested, Lin Feng doesn't mind bringing them to make some money together. Anyway, money is something that can't be earned. It doesn't matter if you give some benefits to the people around you. Boss, are you really like this? I'll be the first to participate. It doesn't matter whether it makes money or not. The main thing is that I want to help the boss with chores. Chen Dongyun said seriously. He was probably the one who was the least money hungry among the few people. After all, his family's status was there, so it was not good to ask his family for too much money. But if it was the money he earned himself, it didn't matter. The main thing was that he trusted Lin Feng more. Lin Feng simply could not be compared with ordinary people. Boss, I want it too. Me too. Chen Kun and Sui also spoke hurriedly. How could they be left out of such a thing? Okay, then I'll tell you when I have a plan. Lin Feng thought about it and said indifferently. Then we'll wait for the boss to take us off. Chen Dongyun and the others laughed. But what they didn't know was that the decision they made today would be the most correct decision they made in their lives. The company that Lin Feng founded with them will bring them huge profits in the future. Lin Feng smiled and didn't say much about this topic. Wash the tea and make tea. After Lin Feng made the tea, he poured a cup for each of them. Then you guys chat here first, I'll go to deal with the ingredients. Lin Feng stood up and said casually. Boss, do you need help? Chen Dongyun and others asked. Yes, Lin Feng, do you need us to help? Suanna and others also asked. No need. You guys just sit here and chat for a while, it will be done soon. Lin Feng smiled and said. After that, he turned and walked towards the kitchen. You guys chat, I'll go help Lin Feng. Zhang Yuxi also said when she saw this. After that, she also stood up and walked towards the kitchen. Lin Feng just tied his apron and turned around to see Zhang Yuxi walking in. Huh? Wife, why are you here? Lin Feng said softly. I'm here to help you, Zhang Yuxi smiled sweetly and said. Oh, silly wife, you just wait outside. Lin Feng said gently. Chapter 1047, Chef Boy? No. I just want to accompany you. Zhang Yuxi said coquettishly. Well, okay. My little fool, then you just watch your husband perform here, He. Lin Feng said with a doting look. I can help you wash the vegetables. Zhang Yuxi said while taking off the apron on the wall. That's fine, wife, just wash the green vegetables. Leave the rest to your husband. Lin Feng scratched Zhang Yuxi's little nose and said. Yes, Zhang Yuxi said and took the green vegetables to wash. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi and shook his head and smiled, then picked up the kitchen knife and started to process the ingredients. Chop, 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 chop. Lin Feng took the knife and chopped quickly. The sound was orderly, consistent in frequency, and full of rhythm, like a musical instrument beating, making a pleasant sound, different from other people cutting vegetables and meat. Lin Feng cut vegetables and meat like an art. The sound spread to the living room and reached the ears of Chen Donggyun and Su Anna and the other three girls. Haha, the sound of the boss cutting vegetables and chopping meat sounds quite similar to that. It seems that we are in for a treat. Chen Donggyun said with a smile. Chen Donggyun's appearance made Su Anna and the other two girls giggle. Well, the master is busy, and we sit here and do nothing, just waiting for food. Isn't it a bit bad? Li Yi suddenly said embarrassedly. Oh, that's right. How about you guys sit for a while, I'll go over and see if there's anything I can help with. Chen Donggyun said. After that, he stood up and walked towards the kitchen. Chop, chop, chop. Swish, swish, swish. In the kitchen, Lin Feng chopped the meat with a kitchen knife in one hand. After chopping, he lifted the knife horizontally, and the meat flakes flew into the air. Lin Feng swiped the plate with his left hand, and the meat flakes fell on the plate accurately. At this time, Chen Donggyun just walked to the kitchen door, and the scene of Lin Feng's operation happened to be seen by Chen Donggyun. Chen Donggyun. He stared at the scene in front of him with wide eyes, a little surprised. Then he saw Lin Feng changed a sharp knife, picked it up with his right hand, and the handle fell into Lin Feng's hand. Lin Feng held the knife and made a knife flower in the air, which was very handsome. Chop, chop, chop. Then Lin Feng took a handful of celery, and the knife fell down, so fast that the eyes couldn't keep up. Oh my. Mom, tell me this is not real. Brothers, come and see the magic. Chen Donggyun came back to his senses and shouted loudly towards the living room. The sound startled Su Anna and others in the living room, and also startled Zhang Yuxi and two people who were cutting and washing vegetables in the kitchen. Lin Feng's hand did not stop, he turned his head and looked at Chen Donggyun at the door. Old four, what's wrong? Lin Feng asked with some doubts. Chop, chop, chop. Chen Donggyun saw Lin Feng turned his head to talk to him, and the knife in his hand was still cutting vegetables quickly. His heart was so nervous that it almost jumped to his throat. Oh my god. Boss, stop looking at me, watch out for your knife. Chen Donggyun said nervously. Haha, it's okay. Lin Feng smiled and just finished the last cut. The celery on the chopping board was the same size, just like he was measuring and cutting it with a ruler. Then Lin Feng gently pushed the knife in his hand, and then slapped the chopping board, and all the cut celery flew into the air, and then accurately fell into the basket in the sink beside. At this time, Su Anna, Chen Kun and others just walked to the kitchen door. This scene fell into their eyes exactly. Oh my god. Like Chen Donggyun before, several people were amazed by Lin Feng's coquettish operation. Su Anna and several girls covered their mouths with shock. What the hell? Chinese cooking master boy? Question mark. Several people felt like they had accidentally entered the set of Chinese cooking master boy. Isn't this a scene that only appears in TV dramas? Exclamation mark. They didn't expect to see this scene in real life. And they actually saw it on Lin Feng. Boss. Boss, are you performing magic? Chen Kun muttered to himself. Wow. I've been to the kitchens of 5-star hotels, and none of those chefs are as awesome as you. Is this still a human? This is simply beyond human power, right? Su-hee said in shock. The voices of several people startled Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked back at the people. Oh, why are you all here? Lin Feng said with a puzzled look. Zhang Yuxi also looked at the people at the door. There was also confusion on her face. Boss, you. Are you still a human? Chen Kun pointed at the movement of Lin Feng's hands and said slowly. Lin Feng. Is this a curse? Exclamation mark. Lin Feng glared at Chen Kun. Second brother, what do you mean by this? Do you want to get beaten? Lin Feng said angrily. Oh, boss, that's not what I meant. I mean, how did you do this? Chen Kun explained hurriedly. Lin Feng. So that's what he was talking about. Lin Feng seemed to think he was scolding someone. You'll get it if you do it more. Nothing special, just practice makes perfect. Lin Feng said casually. Chen Kun. Everyone. Damn, he's just being so Versailles. I give him full marks for pretending. He's not afraid of your pride at all. Several people were speechless. Okay, we'll be here soon, you guys go to the living room and wait. Lin Feng waved his hand, signaling that they could leave. But several people were unwilling to leave. Damn, this show is even more exciting than watching an acrobatic show. No leave. I won't leave even if I'm beaten to death. Several people were indifferent. Lin Feng glanced at them and saw that they were still standing at the door watching. He shook his head helplessly and ignored them. Continued to deal with the ingredients in his hand. Chop, chop, chop. The kitchen knife continued to wave quickly. The ingredients flew all over the sky, and then fell accurately into the prepared plates and dishes. Everyone was amazed. When they saw the end, they were completely numb. It turns out that there really is a Chinese chef in this world. This was the only thought in everyone's mind. After another series of ding-ling box law operations, Lin Feng quickly processed all the ingredients. Zhang Yuxi had already washed the vegetables and joined the crowd of observers. Chen Dongyun and his group watched Lin Feng cook, and it felt more exciting than watching a movie. Lin Feng's cooking is simply an art. Everyone watched with relish. Yuxi, does your family's cooking always seem so exaggerated? Li Yi asked Zhang Yuxi in a low voice. Chapter 1048 is about to be made public. This. I think so. The day we moved to our new home, I saw him cook for the first time, and I was also surprised at that time. Zhang Yuxi thought for a while and said. How does it taste? Li Yi asked. Look at this posture, do you still need to ask? Before Zhang Yuxi could speak, Su Anna said. Well, it tastes really great. After eating the dishes cooked by Lin Feng, I find other dishes unpalatable. Didn't you ask me before why I eat very little every time I eat in the school cafeteria? It's because I think it's too unpalatable. I've never felt this way before. Zhang Yuxi nodded and said. Yuxi, after hearing what you said, I'm looking forward to it now. Xiaoyu licked her lips and said. As time passed, the aroma of the food began to come out. Wow. It smells so good. Li Yi said loudly. Just smelling this smell makes people hungry. Yuxi, why do I understand you now? Every time I eat food in the cafeteria, I frown and find it difficult to swallow. Compared to this time, the food in the school cafeteria is worse than pig food. Su Anna said slowly. Others also felt the same way and nodded to show their agreement. You haven't eaten yet. If you eat it later, you will praise Lin Feng to the sky. Hehe. Zhang Yuxi said with a smile. It's not an exaggeration to say that after eating the food made by the boss this time, I don't want to eat other people's food anymore. What can I do about this? Chen Dongyun said with a bitter face. Hehe. Chen Dongyun's words made everyone laugh. Soon, all the dishes were ready. Chen Dongyun and others rushed to bring the dishes made by Lin Feng to the dining table outside. Several people hurriedly washed their hands and sat at the dining table. Fortunately, Lin Feng's house is big enough. The restaurant is big enough. The dining table is big enough. It's not crowded at all for everyone to sit. The dishes Lin Feng made today include 5-fingered peach and pork rib soup, steamed grouper, braised lion's head, sauced pork ribs, beef meatballs, fried crab in the typhoon shelter, blanched green vegetables, braised prawns, and so on. Chen Dongyun and his group looked at the delicious food on the table, and their mouths were watering. They couldn't wait. After Lin Feng washed his hands and sat down. Oh, I forgot to buy wine. Chen Dongyun slapped his thigh and said. Don't you have to drive later? And drink? Lin Feng asked with some doubts. Oh, who cares about those at this time? Besides, just call a designated driver. At the very least, park the car here first, and we can take a taxi back. It's just right to come over for a meal another day. Hehe. Chen Dongyun laughed. Oh, that's fine. Anyway, my place is big enough. There are 3 or 4 rooms on the first floor and on the second floor. The quilts and beds are new. If you really don't want to go back, just sleep here. Well, third brother, there are beers in the refrigerator and 2 bottles of red wine in the wine cabinet. If you want to drink, just go and get them. Lin Feng thought for a while and said. Sui nodded and prepared to get up to get the wine. Hey, boss, wait a minute. Beer makes you bloated, and I'm not used to red wine. Brothers, how about we have some white wine today? It's just right. I just remembered that there are a few bottles of authentic Maute that someone gave to my dad in the trunk of my car. How about I go and get them and let you try them? Chen Dongyun looked at everyone and said, "That's fine. Maute tastes pretty good. Let's drink some white wine today." Chen Kun said. He and Chen Dongyun can be regarded as friends in drinking. This wine is mainly drunk by the two of them. So Lin Feng and Suhi had no objection. So Chen Dongyun ran to the parking lot downstairs to get the wine from the car. In less than 3 minutes, he came back running. Yes, that's right. Chen Dongyun ran down the whole way and ran back again. Because he couldn't stand it anymore and wanted to eat the food made by Lin Feng quickly. Everyone, you didn't eat secretly while I was away, did you? Chen Dongyun sat down breathlessly and joked. No, but if you don't come back, we can't guarantee that we won't eat secretly. Li Yi said with a smile. Okay, everyone is here, let's eat quickly. Eat some food first, and then drink. Lin Feng said with a smile. Great. Then I won't be polite. Let's eat, Li Yi said loudly. Looking at the table full of delicious food, she has been hungry and thirsty for a long time. Everyone picked up their chopsticks and picked up the food to eat. Wow. It's really delicious. This is absolutely amazing. Wow. Li Yi said with stars in her eyes after taking a bite of the dish. Amazing. It's simply the most delicious food in the world. Everyone gave a thumbs up while eating. Hey. Okay, if it tastes good, eat more. Lin Feng said with a smile. Then he picked up a piece of food for Zhang Yuxi who was sitting next to him. Wife, eat more too. Lin Feng said with a gentle face. Thank you, husband. Zhang Yuxi smiled sweetly and said. Oh, boss, although I'm eating the food, you can't show off your love, wow. Chen Dongyun looked at Lin Feng with a wronged face and said. Oh, eat your meal. Eating can't stop your mouth. Lin Feng rolled his eyes at him and said unhappily. Okay boss, I was wrong. I'll eat the food, I won't talk anymore. Otherwise, the second and third brothers will grab all the food. Chen Dongyun finished speaking and quickly lowered his head to eat the food. After eating a few bites of food, Lin Feng opened the Maute wine that Chen Dongyun brought back and poured a glass for each of Chen Dongyun and his friends. The girls at the table took juice from the refrigerator and poured a glass for each of them. Brothers, and a few beauties, raise your glasses and clink them together. Thank you, boss and sister-in-law, for your hospitality. Bang! Everyone raised their glasses and clinked them lightly. Hiss. Ah. This wine is really good. Chen Kun sighed after taking a sip of the wine. This wine goes really well with the dish made by the boss. Chen Dongyun said excitedly. Two drunkards. Chen Kun, drink less, do you hear me? Suanna rolled her eyes at the two of them and said coquettishly. Oh, yes, as you wish. Chen Kun said weakly. Ha ha ha. These two are going to make it public. Chapter 1049. Help me get the towel. After a round of drinking and eating, the cups and plates were in a mess. Huh? Comfortable. Chen Dongyun said while touching his stomach and taking a long breath. HMPH. Who told you to eat so much? You ate the whole plate of ribs by yourself. I only had one piece. Li Yi rolled her eyes at Chen Dongyun and said unhappily. Oh, well, it's really delicious. I usually love ribs the most. Sorry. Chen Dongyun was a little embarrassed and said embarrassedly. Hey. Okay, it's just a plate of ribs. If you want to eat it, come over next time when you are free, and I will make it for you. Lin Feng spoke up to help Chen Dongyun out. Boss, what should we do? Suhi looked at Lin Feng and said. Huh? What should we do? Lin Feng looked at Suhi and asked with some confusion. Boss, it's all because your food is so delicious. What am I going to do in the future? After eating your food, I feel that other people's food is like pig food. I don't want to eat it anymore. Woo woo woo. Suhi said with a pitiful look on his face. Yeah. We too. I wish I could eat such food every day. Others also spoke up to express their agreement. Lin Feng. My classmates, do you have to be so exaggerated? Have you all forgotten that I'm still a student? Cooking every day is what the chef does? Lin Feng said speechlessly. These guys are so bad. They even want to trick me into cooking every day. Wishful thinking. Oh, I envy my sister-in-law so much. Boss, I'm going to Talian now, will you want me? Chen Dongyun said to Lin Feng with a pink finger raised. Burp. Ha ha ha. Everyone laughed at Chen Dongyun's antics. Lin Feng. Old 4, if you keep being so disgusting, do you believe I will punch your dog head? Lin Feng glared at Chen Dongyun and said with a look of disgust. Burp. Chen Dongyun was choked by Lin Feng's words and didn't dare to speak. Ha ha ha. Old 4, I told you to be a slut. Chen Kun was gloating. Chen Dongyun rolled his eyes at Chen Kun, but didn't continue the topic. Everyone knew that Lin Feng was joking, so no one cared. Then several people continued to chat, and laughter came from the living room from time to time. It was not until about 11 o'clock in the evening that Chen Dongyun and others left reluctantly. Boss, then we are leaving. You and sister-in-law should also go to bed early. You don't have to see us off. We have already called a designated driver, don't worry. After walking out of the door, Sui said to Lin Feng. Well, be careful on the road, and call me if anything happens. Let me know when you get back to the dormitory. Keep an eye on the two guys, Lauer and Lao Si, they drank so much. Also, send the girls back to the dormitory first. Lin Feng urged. Yeah, don't worry, boss. I'll take good care of them. Sui patted his chest and promised. Lin, Yuxi, we'll go back first. Thanks for the hospitality today. Li Yi and the others smiled at Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi. Yeah, go back and have a rest early. Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi nodded and watched them enter the elevator. Huh? Wife, let's go back too. Lin Feng took a long breath and said gently to Zhang Yuxi. Yeah. Zhang Yuxi smiled gently and nodded. Then the two of them entered the house. Lin Feng slumped down on the sofa. Comfortable. Lin Feng muttered to himself. Hubby, are you tired? You've worked hard today. Zhang Yuxi looked at Lin Feng with a distressed face and said. I'm fine, not tired. Lin Feng said with a smile. Ah. Then he grabbed Zhang Yuxi's little hand and gently pulled it, and Zhang Yuxi fell into his arms. My dear wife, your husband will hug you and you won't be tired. Lin Feng said nonsense seriously. Ah, it's itchy, where are you touching? Zhang Yuxi rolled her eyes at Lin Feng and said coquettishly. I can't help it, I can't help it. Lin Feng said with a smirk on his face, but his hands didn't stop moving. Zhang Yuxi glared at him, but didn't say anything, letting him go. Husband, let's go home during the National Day holiday. I miss my parents and home a little bit. Zhang Yuxi said softly. Yeah, I originally planned to go back during the holiday. Silly wife, be good, bear it for a few more days, the holiday will be here soon. Lin Feng nodded and said softly. Yeah. Zhang Yuxi nodded and said nothing. Silence. The two of them just hugged each other, feeling the warmth and tranquility of this moment. After a while, Lin Feng looked at the clock on the wall and broke the silence. Wife, it's getting late, let's wash up and rest. I have to go to my uncle's place tomorrow. Lin Feng pinched Zhang Yuxi's little nose and said. Okay, husband, let's go take a shower. But, I want you to carry me, Zhang Yuxi said coquettishly. Okay. Hubby will carry you. Lin Feng smiled helplessly and said with a doting face. Yeah, husband is so nice. Zhang Yuxi said happily. Then Lin Feng picked up Zhang Yuxi. Zhang Yuxi wrapped around him tightly like an octopus. The two went upstairs. Hubby, help me take down the towel. Zhang Yuxi's shout came from the bathroom. Okay, wait. Lin Feng was sitting in front of the computer playing on the computer. When he heard Zhang Yuxi calling him, he smiled helplessly. This little fool forgot to take the towel for drying her hair again. Then Lin Feng got up and went to give Zhang Yuxi a towel. Knock. Yuxi, I'm going to open the door and come in. Lin Feng knocked on the bathroom door and said. Click. Then Lin Feng opened the bathroom door and walked in. The bathroom was filled with white steam, which made the whole bathroom look like a fairyland. In the white steam, Zhang Yuxi's figure could be vaguely seen through the shower curtain. Lin Feng was instantly overwhelmed. This scene, this picture. It was so fairy. Honey, towel. Zhang Yuxi stretched out a tender white hand and said. Who can resist this? Okay, the towel will be here soon. Then Lin Feng quickly took off his equipment. Honey, here, the towel is here. Lin Feng walked over and handed over the towel. Just when Zhang Yuxi reached out to take the towel, Lin Feng took the opportunity to lift the shower curtain and get in. Oh honey, how did you get in? Zhang Yuxi exclaimed and said. I came to bring you a towel. Chapter 1050, Mom and Dad visit. A dark cloud passed by, blocking the moonlight, and there was silence and darkness outside the window. From time to time, there were a few sounds of insects and birds, as if they were playing and frolicking. Zhang Yuxi lay in Lin Feng's arms, and the two of them quietly enjoyed this warm time. His heart was full of happiness. Quietly holding the blue and white token and keeping the promise, parting is always spent in frustration. At this time, Lin Feng's mobile phone suddenly rang. Lin Feng was a little confused. Who would call so late? Lin Feng reached out and took the mobile phone from the bedside table. At a glance, it turned out to be a call from his mother Zhang. I don't know what happened so late. Lin Feng hurriedly pressed the answer button. Hello, Mom, it's so late, what happened? Lin Feng said as soon as he answered the call. Hello, son, are you at school or at home now? Zhang asked. I'm at home now. Mom, what's wrong? Lin Feng asked with some confusion. Son, your dad and I are at Kyoto airport right now, we just got off the plane. Zhang said. What? You and my dad are coming to Beijing? Wait for me at the airport, I'll pick you up right now. Lin Feng sat up and said. Son, you can just stay at home, you don't have to come pick us up. Your dad and I have already called a taxi, you can just come downstairs to pick us up when we get there. Zhang said quickly. Mom, it's okay, I'll pick you up right now. Lin Feng said. Son, don't, it's really not necessary, the car is here. Besides, it's not safe for you to drive at night, we're worried too. Just wait for us at home. Zhang said quickly. Okay, call me as soon as you get there, I'll pick you up. Seeing Zhang say this, Lin Feng had no choice but to agree. Yeah, son, the car is here, let's not talk about it for now, I'll call you when it gets there. Zhang said and hung up the phone. Lin Feng was afraid that his mother had made a mistake in the address. After all, she had not been in Beijing for many years, and Beijing had changed a lot. So Lin Feng edited the detailed address and sent it to Zhang's mobile phone. After Lin Feng put down his mobile phone, he saw Zhang Yuxi looking at him with a puzzled look. Wife, our parents have come to Beijing and are rushing over from the airport now. Lin Feng said to Zhang Yuxi with a wry smile. Ah, my parents are in Beijing. Zhang Yuxi said in surprise. Now Zhang Yuxi can call her parents very naturally. Yet, they're here, just so suddenly, and they didn't tell me in advance, really. Lin Feng replied helplessly. Hey. It's good that they are here. It's just right that I can accompany them to go shopping on the weekend. I haven't seen my parents for a long time. Zhang Yuxi said with a smile. It's natural to be able to see familiar people in a foreign land, and you will be very happy. What's more, these are Lin Feng's parents, and also his future parents-in-law, so there's nothing to say. So Zhang Yuxi looked very happy. However, Lin Feng didn't think so. His parents were coming, so how could he and Zhang Yuxi dare to be so bold? Wouldn't they suffocate to death? Exclamation mark. No, well they haven't arrived yet. Hey. First, let's have enough. Lin Feng quietly stretched out his claws. Ah. Honey, what are you doing? Zhang Yuxi was still thinking about Lin Feng's parents coming, and was suddenly attacked, and said in surprise. What? Nothing. Tickling. Hey. Lin Feng had a wicked smile on his face. Wahaha. It's so itchy. Oh, stop it, my parents are coming. Zhang Yuxi rolled her eyes at Lin Feng and said coquettishly. Don't worry, they won't be that fast. It will take more than an hour to get here from the airport, even if there is no traffic jam at night. This time is enough. Lin Feng smiled wickedly. Ah. Wahaha. Stop it, it's so itchy. Ahaha. Time passed quickly, and the two of them were laughing and playing, and an hour and a half passed. Lin Feng's parents hadn't arrived yet. At this time, Lin Feng was exhausted. The two of them were tired of laughing and playing, and Lin Feng lay down contentedly, not wanting to move a finger. Zhang Yuxi was the same, she was laughing so hard that tears were about to flow out. Holding the blue and white token quietly and keeping the promise, parting is always spent in frustration. Just then Lin Feng's cell phone rang again. Lin Feng raised his hand with difficulty and grabbed the phone from the bedside table. Hello, Lin Feng said weakly and softly. Son, your father and I have arrived at the gate of the community, you come down to pick us up. Zhang's voice came from the phone. Ah. Okay, I'll go down now, wait for me. Lin Feng said hurriedly. After hanging up the phone, Lin Feng sat up directly. Wife, our parents have arrived at the gate of the community. Hurry up and get dressed. I'll go downstairs to pick them up now. Lin Feng patted Zhang Yuxi and said. Ah. Our parents have arrived. But how can I face people like this? It's all your fault. Big bad guy. Zhang Yuxi glared at Lin Feng and said anxiously. Lin Feng glanced at Zhang Yuxi. Because of the two of them playing around, Zhang Yuxi's hair was a little messy, and her little face was red, which was very cute. Hey. Little silly, it's okay, you are very cute now. Hurry up and get up. I'll put on some clothes and go downstairs to pick them up. Lin Feng said as he got up. Ah. No, I have to get up and put on some powder to cover it up. Zhang Yuxi also sat up and said. Wife, I won't talk to you anymore. I'll go downstairs first. He hurriedly put on a set of clothes and hurried downstairs. Wife, you look so cute with your blushing face. Ha ha ha. He said as he walked. HMPH. Hate it. I'm ignoring you. Zhang Yuxi shouted at Lin Feng at the door. Seeing Lin Feng leave, Zhang Yuxi quickly got up and packed up. Zhang Yuxi sat in front of the dressing table, looking at her own blushing face in the mirror. She felt a little shy. Lin Feng, this bad guy, always bullies her. If he does this again next time, I will ignore him. HMPH. Then, Zhang Yuxi quickly packed up. After a while, after putting some powder on her face, nothing could be seen. Zhang Yuxi nodded with satisfaction. Then she started to change clothes and chose a set of casual home clothes to change into. Fortunately, Lin Feng was not here at the moment. Zhang Yuxi didn't see this shy and cute look at this time. Otherwise, Lin Feng would probably be moved immediately after seeing her. She was really too cute, and he must compete with her. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.